This is the X&C Podcast, your Xbox newscast, featuring Colteastwood and Gaz, hosting industry interviews and gaming talk live on YouTube every Monday night at 5 p.m. on the West Coast, 8 p.m. on the East Coast. For all of you listening around the world, X&C Podcast is available on demand on Spotify, Google, and Apple Podcasts. Welcome to the show. Join the chat, hit the like button, and let's get into this week's topics with the Xbox newscast. Welcome. That's the wrong button. That'll do it. Welcome to the X&C Podcast. This is Colteastwood, and I'm here with my co-host from the UK, Gaz from Game On Daily. How you doing, Gaz?
Yeah, I'm good. This is an earlier show. Thank you, Jez. Thank you, Jez, because this piece of makes me stay up till 1 a.m., but thanks to you and your gorgeous ginger beard, I get to sleep early.
Excellent. Good show. And it's been a long time coming having this guest on the show. I mean, for real, I started this podcast like a year and a half ago. Wanted to get him on, but he's not quite the vampire we want him to be because it's super late in the UK, but from Windows Central and the exploding, super popular podcast with our good friend Rand Xbox 2, it's just Corden. Just Corden, welcome.
Hey. Thanks for having me, man. Yeah, we've been trying to do this for a while, haven't we? At this point.
Yeah, it's been a little bit. You guys have been doing some crazy stuff. Talk for a second here about your podcast because it's always been doing really, really well, and then lately it just seems like it's reached like superstar status. I'm jealous.
Yeah, I mean, well, we've been doing it for 6 years now. You just got to keep grinding. But that's the thing. Like, we don't really see it as a grind. Like, it was always just two guys Skyping about games, and Rand was just like one day, or one of us was, I can't remember if it was me or it was Rand, but one of us was like, we should just podcast this, we have good discussion, and arguing and banter, and that's what we do. We just, it's basically like a Skype call anyone can tune into. That's what we've been doing, and maybe in 6 years, if you keep going,
No,
I think everyone will eventually find their audience if they just keep going,
Yeah.
You got to provide a little something that they want, right, Gaz? Like, what's the allure of Jez and Rand and the Xbox podcast, the Xbox 2? What is it?
It's interesting you mentioned Skype. I think the biggest thing I would say the strength, other than obviously all the insider information you give out, which probably pisses Microsoft off, is the dynamic. It is a Skype call, very relaxed chat, and it's something you can just keep on in the background like a fireplace. And it's just both of you have got soothing voices as well, so it just comes just very easy, just listening. And what I also like about Xbox 2 is that you guys can talk about random stuff, and that's for me one of my highlights, because it's fine talking about games and stuff, but an audience, and I think they have a big affinity with you two, is because an audience wants to build a connection with that. So all your fascination fetish with baked beans, that's fine. Like, people can relate. Like, okay, he's messed up in the head, so am I. So there's something there. But yeah, absolutely.
You don't like beans, guys? I thought that was just a brew.
I do like beans, though. I'm not going to say anything. But some of the concoctions you share on thing is just like, like Krispy Kreme with beans. So that's where I draw the line.
But I love it because it's like hot takes are like what powers social media these days, right? Yeah, and everyone's got these like people seem to like have these in purposefully contrarian positions, and usually it's about like really divisive things like politics and stuff. And I just thought, well, I want to get in on that divisiveness, but I want to do it in a way that nobody gets harmed. So, what better way than to share some horrible food pictures? Algorithm loves it. We all live and die by that, but some people tell me I have weird food habits. Like, have you ever tried this, guys? And I apologize for you Americans listening because they won't have a clue what I'm on about. Have you ever had Twiglets and hummus, or Twiglets and mayonnaise?
I haven't tried them together. That'd be good.
Do it.
Twiglets are pretty dry, but with hummus, they could be really nice.
Yeah, try it with hummus. Like, it'll change your life, man. I'm telling you. Like,
wasn't Twiglets your screen name on AOL back in '98, Gaz?
AOL, MIRC, man. Come on. remember that? That
We
was
didn't have AOL in Britain, man. That's
We didn't,
America
yeah.
Online.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
BT.
that's right. Yeah, I actually never had it. I was on Net Zero. That's the world's internet for free. But I'm super old school. Yeah, American food, British food. I don't know. I mean,
no,
You guys are
American
crazy with your
better.
food, man.
You guys
Like
are crazy.
I've told this story before, but when I was in LA, my colleague who's also from Britain, he came to me and he was like, "Jez, you've got to try this milkshake." I was like, "What's milkshake? What is it?" And it was like this rainbow milkshake, right? And it was small, man. It was like that big. It's what they call the small, you know. And I look on the side of it, 1,500 calories. And I was just like,
perfect.
yeah, I was just like, this is so essentially American. It was just a cup of sugar and cream, and it was incredible.
This
You just can't get food like that.
It's like that. I'm pretty sure most Americans have diabetes. There's no way. I mean, look at Cole. He has Mountain Dew. Look at it. Just massive. What is that cup? It's disgusting.
Oh, hold on. I just pulled my bicep lifting that up. Gosh dang it.
It's a disgustingly large cup of Mountain Dew. Holy moly. I very rarely in my life have had that. I'm jealous, though.
I listened to Joe Rogan this morning. He had a guest on talking about how caffeine has become this naturally created chemical from plants that now rules the entire planet. And he said he went 3 months off of caffeine, and he said the one thing it did to him was he felt self-righteous. He was at an airport early in the morning for a flight, and he was off caffeine, and he said he saw all these drones of people in line at Starbucks, like looking like just miserable.
Yeah.
And he thought, oh, those people are pitiful. And then when the 3 months ended, he was like,
I stay off caffeine for a month during Ramadan, and it's very hard. Very hard.
Yep.
I get horrible withdrawals, headaches. It's quite bad, but I sleep better. So yeah, caffeine is quite bad. You need to watch your sugar intake. Paris
Rand was like,
what Rand
What's
was
that?
what?
oh, I was just gonna say, like Rand was bedridden when he came off caffeine. He had like a really bad reaction to coming off caffeine because Rand was like always on the energy drinks, I think, and then he decided to go cold turkey.
It's a serious thing. When I go off the wagon or whatever you call it, like routinely, and I have to take a couple ibuprofen for a couple days, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like, but thank goodness. Sometimes you just have to just bite the bullet and just be a terrible person, drink some caffeine. But thanks to everybody who's here for the show. We've got a lot to talk about today. There's over 700 people who are just joined us as we talk about our caffeine habits. We've got Special Nick and Paris and some of the usual suspects. I got to read out this list of Randolph Thor. Rand and I've talked like 7 times today. We're like, are we going to be okay? We're going to be okay. Is it going to be all right? We're going to be all right. Are they doing Oreos? Yeah, they're doing Oreos. Let me read out this name of the people who've been supporting the channel and the podcast. It's really super important. These people are really helping out. We got Mark Carwell, KY Bob, Sasson Lupa, Jazzy Newtbox, Ricky Fallon, Zimic, Manic Master, and Jeremy Grigson, and channel members who've been around here for 9 months or longer. Some of them almost 4 years, guys. Matt Burns, William Lanza, Udani Kazada, Nano Polymyth, Assassin Lupa, Robert Jackson, Lord Starkiller, Dante Moody, Betamax, Dark CMF, Gaz, Fox Storytelling, Reek Havocs, Faultline, Center White, Davari, Poochie Remix, V Simcoe, Assassin Dub, Larry Thatcher, Hargeet, Chani, TK Chillin, Raiden Blade, Acute Perspective, True 77, Risk for the Biscuit, Mike Ford, Red Saurus, love that name, Quinn's Harmony, Attitudier, Resky Krogan, Pesky Krogan, and Panda Bamboo. I'm sorry, I got that. I know you're probably making your head spin. What's that?
I recognize them. I didn't
a couple
recognize
new ones.
them.
A couple new ones.
Yeah.
That have been around for.
Familia.
Shout out. Let me start off with this one, Jez, because we've had a whirlwind of a day, but we'll start slow and talk about the first thing we saw in the morning, and it was Xbox marketing. What happened like early in the day for you there in the UK with Xbox marketing?
I presume you're talking about the Oreos thing, right?
Yeah.
Well, what was I doing? I can't remember what I was doing, but I kind of missed this. I was in a meeting or something, or something was going on, and I was like, hell yeah, I love that shit, man. They got a team who works, doing product placements and stuff. I often see these takes like, oh my god, Microsoft has time to do these Oreo deals, but they can't make games, and it's like, you want the marketing guys to make a game? Like what? It's like the marketing team stuff, and it gets Xbox's name out there associated with big brands and stuff like that. I don't know. But I want some Oreos with Xbox stuff on it. Because this is a European promotion, I believe, this Oreos thing, right? Because you guys had the Xbox Chips Ahoy thing, right? We don't get Chips Ahoy in Britain, to my knowledge.
Those are cookies.
But,
chocolate chip, they're hard chocolate chip cookies.
They're cookies. Yeah. They're cookies, right? We don't get them in England, right?
No, we don't. We don't.
But I had some when I was
It's
in
a very
Florida,
British name, too. Chips Ahoy.
Yeah. They are magical. They are absolutely magical cookies, and we don't get them. So
do you get Famous Amos? They're the same thing?
No, I don't think so.
Welcome to the Cookie Podcast with Jez Corden.
Well, it's important because me and Rand started we started a debate about biscuits and cookies and stuff because cookies are a very specific type of biscuit in Britain. But, Rand informs me that biscuit means something else in America. So we're having this debate about the English language.
Yeah.
I don't even know. I don't.
It's Americans. They have to call it sidewalk, not pavement, for God's sake. You have to go remedial for the Americans.
What, you call it pavement?
Pavement.
That's what we call what it's made out
slabs
of.
on it, right?
You have to be literal with the Americans. Sidewalk. Sidewalk.
I don't like this podcast right now. I'm outnumbered. And I see a lot of people from the UK and the EU in the chat too. What am I supposed to do? I'll just hide.
What do you prefer? Do you prefer Chips Ahoy or Oreos?
I don't like Oreos. How about that? They're too sugary. They're just like a rich one flavor of chocolate.
Mountain Dew, man, with a mountain of Mountain Dew. Says too
Mountain
much
Dew
sugar.
has 17 flavors, sir. No, I don't know. No, I like
So that's
Chips
another thing
Ahoy.
about America, right? I hate to interrupt you, but I have to bring up this point. Everything in America has like 15 million different variants. In Britain, we have Mountain Dew. That's it. But in America, you got like 50,000 versions of Mountain Dew. Like, where do they get the shelf space for all these different versions? When I was in Florida, there was like a whole aisle dedicated to different flavors of Oreos. I was like, how much variation do you need?
They have, but I will say, Americans have better food, man. They're so
They
good.
do.
I'd
They
be
do.
like, way fatter if I was in America. Even the Reese's Pieces cereal, the Reese's Puff cereal. Oh my god, that's like crack. It tastes so good. I went to Miami, and all my friends were just going out, to restaurants and stuff. And I bought boxes, and I'm sitting there after for Miami Music Week. We've got loads of like women around, just doing things, and there's me with a bowl of cereal, just munching on it like a fat piece of shit. Just
I knew it.
There, like all these
Gas
women,
goes all the way to
music
America
lyrics.
for the food.
I'm like, I love it. I was just so addicted to it. I was like, these guys were like having, well, they were having lines of other things, but yeah. Anyway, let's talk about games.
Well, that's got the podcast demonetized.
Well, this is I could totally picture Gaz flying all the way to the U.S. just to get some tasty treats, and then the girls are like, "We're over here, Gaz."
I'll do it.
We have a lot to talk about. I mean, everyone was frustrated about the Oreos thing because there was rumors about maybe some Xbox news breaking. But let's get into that in just a second. I want to talk about RedFall quickly because I think half the fans are like, "Yeah, it looks pretty cool," and I think that's changed. You guys had a chance to talk about this on Friday, right, Jez? Tell me where you are with Redfall.
Well, I was kind of like in two minds about it because I love Arcane and I love Arcane's games. I love Prey. I love Dishonored. Two of my favorite games, especially Prey. Absolutely love Prey. But I just couldn't jam with Deathloop. Like I don't know what it was. I don't know if it was a gameplay style or whatever, but I just couldn't get into Deathloop, and I thought that was weird. So that kind of made me worried about how I might feel about Redfall, and you know, and the co-op aspect and stuff like that, and it sort of reminded me of, you know, these kind of games, like Borderlandsy, where you just kind of, you're not really paying attention to the world you're in. You're just kind of messing around and sandboxing about and stuff like that. There's nothing wrong with those kind of games at all. I'm not suggesting that, you know. But I ain't someone who really enjoys those kind of games. I like single player games and methodical kind of, you know, the Prey kind of games, the immersive sims that they were kind of known for. And I saw some of their interviews, and they were saying like, you know, yeah, there still are arcane DNA in there, like the immersive sim, the world building, that kind of stuff. And you know, I was just kind of like, well, I'll just kind of ignore it, and then I'll go in blind. I do that a lot, you know. If it's sort of like a game I know I'm probably going to play anyway, I just kind of like try and ignore it so it doesn't sort of, you know, color my opinion too much. Because one thing I've always thought about Arcane is that they tend to make unmarketable games. Like, I didn't really understand what Prey was until I played it. I didn't really understand what Deathloop was supposed to be until I played it. It was like, you know, what? It's a roguelike, but it's a shooter. Like, there's a time loop. Like, what is this game? You know, there was this whole sort of I don't know what you call it. There's like this cloud of confusion over the game, and I kind of felt that way about Redfall too. I was like, you know, one of the headlines I saw this week from the interview on Games Radar was it's not a Left 4 Dead clone, because a lot of people thought it was like going to be Left 4 Dead-y, you know.
Yeah, forever.
And they led with that, right? And even though Left 4 Dead itself is an amazing game, Left 4 Dead clones often fall flat a little bit. You know, there's like only a couple of Left 4 Dead-ish kind of games that sort of even come close to the greatness that was the original Left 4 Dead, right? Or Left 4 Dead 2 even.
Yeah, there's World War Z and then Back 4 Blood are probably the ones you're thinking of. And then there's
I was thinking of like Vermintide and stuff. But Zombie Army Trilogy was alright. But that's the thing though, they're just alright, you know. Like Zombie Army Trilogy is fun.
They're like 7 out of 10s and people love them.
Yeah. So I was thinking, like, oh, well, if they're taking on Left 4 Dead, there's kind of like there's almost like a stigma with that, you know. But now they've come back and said like it's our take on a sort of Far Cry, and I like, and they specifically said Far Cry 2, I believe.
That's quite weird. Yeah, they did. Yeah,
and I thought like that's really that made me really intrigued, because Far Cry 2 was.
Did they say 2, Jez? In the interview?
Yeah, 2. They said 2.
Because 2 is really special in its own way, and nobody talks about it. But go ahead, Jez. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure they said 2, unless I'm... Yeah. Well, they all had fire, but Far Cry 2 really had fire.
Yeah, proper fire. That one.
Yeah.
And it had fire in your malaria, too.
Yeah. That's it, though. Even though Far Cry 2 was like... It was a janky kind of game in a lot of ways, but there was something about it. There was like a soul to it that I think Ubisoft games often lose these days, where it's like it's really hard to describe, even though like I'm a so-called professional writer. You know, there's just something about it. Something about Far Cry 2 specifically.
Words?
It's really hard.
Why specify Far Cry 2? There's been 5 or 6 games of Far Cry now, so why 2? 2 is the most distinct one out of all of them anyway, but it's hard to qualify why. I mean, Far Cry 2's quirks were the gun jamming, which wasn't that great, but like there was, apart from the nice fire, there was a feel that was different. How do you describe that? I know what you're talking about. It's something different.
It was like almost like a grit about Far Cry.
Yeah,
like it's almost like the lack of polish was somehow made it.
You guys are missing
somehow work.
You're missing what makes Far Cry 2 so amazing, and nobody really talks about the game because it's ancient, right? But Far Cry 2, they didn't hold your hand whatsoever, and it was more organic. It was like the first open world game where you drove visually to the place. You had to pop up the map in the middle of your screen while you're driving. You took on missions the way you think you should. Like the guy's like, I need you to go over to that boathouse and take him out. And you're like, okay, how am I going to do this? Because I don't want to die. And it was the first time, because Far Cry 3 and those are all the same. Yeah. Far Cry 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, they're all the same. But Far Cry 2 was the first one to do. It has that special thing that we are feeling but I don't know if we explain it properly.
That's
And
good though.
We haven't seen that.
Yeah, there's
in fact, sorry.
I was just saying, it's like what you're getting at is like the kind of grit, like digging the bullets out of your hand, and everything was manual. Like you had to repair the vehicle, and like it got repetitive, repairing the vehicle over and over again. The guns jamming, it got kind of repetitive.
Yeah.
But there was just something. It made you feel like invested.
Yeah.
You know, invested. And I think
Immersed.
like Arcane's games, Arcane's games make you feel invested in a way that Ubisoft games don't. So I'm kind of thinking like, well, if it's Far Cry, but it can make me feel invested like Far Cry 2 did, but with Arcane's world building and making me invested in the characters and the world because has that sense of handcraftedness and not copy and pastedness, which I think a lot of modern Ubisoft games fall afoul of.
Yeah.
Do you feel like you can't get invested in Deathloop? Because I think you and I are kind of on the same page with Deathloop, because you die, you lose a lot of your gear until you get further in. And like when you reset, I'm like, and I know Gaz is different because he loves Hades to death. That like I didn't get that Arcane feel that I got with Prey, where I was building my character. I was grabbing all of the upgrade machines or whatever they're called, the stems, and I was recycling gear, and I was just getting better and better and better. So I
wanted an Arcane game from Arcane, you know. Yeah. And I was playing Deathloop. It's like, this is a fine game, but it's just kind of not for me, you know. And I sort of like, I don't play a lot of roguelikes, and there's obviously this moment in roguelikes where it sort of grips you, and it's like you've got enough upgrades that you feel like you've progressed. I never got to that point with Deathloop, you know. It's kind of like in Vampire Survivors when you first discover the garlic, you know. It's like, oh, you know, and then you first discover this, and then you grow beyond the garlic, and it's like, you know, I've ascended beyond the garlic, and now eventually you become like a god, you know. I'm sure Deathloop has that kind of roguelike progression, but I just never got to that point where I felt like I'd gotten anything for my time, you know. And I didn't really feel invested in the story and the world, and like I did with Prey. So I just felt like the gameplay, the gameplay loop in Deathloop was almost like a needless restriction, you know. And I realized that's they've tied the story delivery to that restriction, so it kind of hamstrung them in a way. Like they couldn't even offer a mode where it was just like make it more like a classic open world thing. But I'm hoping that's what RedFall will be like Deathloop without that restriction. And again, there's nothing wrong with Deathloop. A lot of people loved it. It reviewed very well. Mm-hmm. But again, it's just not for me. So I'm hoping like RedFall, with this latest interview from Graz Radar, it sounds like RedFall has fallen sort of further toward, the pendulum's fallen further towards what I would consider a game for me. So I went from being sort of like, I'll play it, but you know, I'm not that hyped about it, to being like, oh, actually, that sounds pretty damn cool. Name checking Far Cry 2. That was exactly what we would need to do to get me interested. So
a lot of people were like that when they first showed the CGI, like, okay. Then they showed the gameplay. I was like, oh, that looks really polished, looks different. But there's still some Left 4 Dead vibes there, but hopefully enough in the character abilities and the weapon handling that'll be different. And then this article comes out, and it makes very specific references to Far Cry 2 and Stalker of all games. And you're thinking, wait, hold on, what does that mean? And now listening to you, Colt, about what made Far Cry 2 what it was, because I don't remember it being so freeform. That's one of the few Far Cry games I didn't complete. But based on what you've said and what they said in their interview actually talks about that. So it's like they gave you an analysis. You'll want to see if you can get into a barn you found, climb a fire lookout tower that you spotted in the distance, and try and get into a house to read all the notes scattered inside. But then you'll come across, like, you're going through some like long tall grass, like you and your buddies, and then you'll come across people talking. That organic kind of open world is beautiful. I was not expecting that. I was expecting kind of generic enemies plopped on here. Go do your mission. Here's a checkbox. And it's not
get to the end of the map and where the door is and open it and shut it.
Formula. Yeah, I mean, it's very rote game design, and a lot of games rely on that. And I'm so sick of that. But with Redfall, I thought, well, I had conceded that this is most likely part of its DNA, but hopefully the character abilities and the weapon handling and how those work will elevate that experience beyond that Ubisoft formula I'm sick of. When I read this interview, I was surprised pleasantly because there's RPG elements. I don't know, there are NPCs you can talk to in the game. Weapon modifications. They're talking about you don't want to hold on to the same weapon for a long time, which means there are variants of each weapon, vampire slaying variants, special guns. And I personally would only play this co-op, I think. I know you can play it single player, but even in co-op, they've got unique dialogue lines if you all elect to choose different characters, because if you choose, you can pick the same characters. I think it's a bit weird. I don't like that decision. But if you have different characters and they exchange voice lines, like NPCs do, but then you get a buff for that. And it's like, that's a bit unique. And unique is the word I would use here, because Arcane have come out in this quite frank in this interview, like, well, we could have picked it to be an open world game or a co-op game. We've kind of ended up with both. And it said, if it hits the quality mark, that's what they said, I'm remembering it. I think, if it hits the quality mark that they want, I think it's a special game. So from being what people thought, I didn't think it was that, but there were some vibes of a Left 4 Dead, Back 4 Blood clone. For being that, to being something very special for a studio that does very specific games, Deathloop, Prey, and Dishonored, doing a co-op / single player, like this kind of open world game, this will be the last time, it'll be they've said they're not really going to go back to this form. They're going to go back to more tightly confined gameplay. They've said this in an interview. So this is quite a unique game for the studio, and I really want to see this studio stretch itself out, because we saw Guerrilla Games do something different from first person to third person, and that yielded good results. I'm very confident about this. And I also think the lukewarm, sorry, I'm talking like a piece of shit, but let me just very quickly, on the point that the Left 4 Dead comparisons, I think that's actually working in its favor, because it's tempered expectations, and that's the opposite problem. Xbox games, we always hype them to high heaven. Well, with this game, we haven't. We've kind of like held back. And this interview is like giving us a glimpse of potentially a lot more. So I'm really genuinely excited. So I'm doing this video now. I'm just like, oh, this is actually really good. Like, this could be really good. So yeah, it's been a very good start for Xbox if this bangs harder than we thought it would.
There's a concern you have to kind of push out of the way when people say Left 4 Dead clone, because one of the things that isn't so great about World War Z, Left 4 Dead, Back 4 Blood is the holding down the trigger and just mowing down zombies with 1 or 2 bullets piece, and it could be cool to mow them down, but there's no impact. Like when you take down an enemy in Prey, it means something, and you can loot them. I don't know if you can loot vampires, but this is more of an RPG, and that mindless just wasting away hordes of enemies gets really old. Especially like there's no real progression. So that's the real, like, that when they say things about Borderlands or Far Cry, I get a little more excited, because it has to mean something when you play an RPG. I mean, isn't that what keeps you coming back, Jez?
Yeah, I mean, do they define it specifically as an RPG?
No.
Do they
have RPG elements in there?
Yeah, I was trying to find that part of the short trailer where it shows all of the gear and the skill tree to pause on it. It like is so brief in the video, I had to slow it down in my video. But
well, it's almost the term RPG has almost become like so wishy-washy now. Like since it's probably like, I think the term RPG jumped the shark when Assassin's Creed Origins came out, and it's like, yeah, this is like the Assassin's Creed team played way too much Witcher. They're like, okay, we need to make Assassin's Creed with the Witcher. And everyone's like, hang on, well, what about being an assassin? And they're like, nah, stats and loot now and stuff like that. But I think it doesn't work for Assassin's Creed personally, because the whole point of an RPG role-playing game for me is you have to be immersed in the role of that character, right? And although Assassin's Creed Origins was a very good sort of action game and stuff like that, I never really care about Ubisoft stories, and I'm hating on Ubisoft now. I always get into this loop of hating on Ubisoft when I do podcasts for some reason. But I never really like, because I just kind of know what their formulas are. All their games have the same beats, and when you've been covering Ubisoft games for so long, you just start to see these same tropes, these same patterns, these same villains come over and over and over again, and eventually you just kind of tune out, right?
Yeah.
So like. It's like I've always said, like the Division might be more interesting if you'd have mutants and zombies and stuff like that, rather than just trying to make me believe that there's a cult of guys who love flamethrowers, and trying to make it realistic. I don't know. That's a very Ubisoft thing to do. It's like, yeah, okay, we want to keep it grounded because we want to put the Tom Clancy branding on there, but we also want to make an RPG where things are supposed to be a little bit more fantastical. I don't know. So it's just there's something about Ubisoft kind of games that I can't put my finger on that I'm hoping won't be present in Redfall. And typically when it comes to Arcane, yeah, exactly. Typically when it comes to Arcane, it won't. So if it's like a Far Cry, which does have RPG elements, you could argue there's progression and stuff like that, and character-driven stories, and I think like Dying Light 2 as well described itself as an RPG. There's side quests and there's like dialogue choices, a few major dialogue stories and stuff. But where a lot of these games fall flat for me was that I just didn't care. I didn't care about the world. I didn't care about the characters, and maybe that's a me problem, But after playing Prey and Dishonored, I know that Arcane is extremely capable of making those kind of worlds that make an RPG really matter and make those loot systems matter, make that sort of feeling of like, I want to grow my character because I like my character and not just because the game wants me to jump through these hoops, I think they have to work hand in hand. Otherwise, it just starts feeling like a mobile game, arbitrary, where I think I remember Anthem got called out for this, where data miners discovered that like all the stats on weapons were completely arbitrary and none of them mattered. Like
what?
Because like this is a whole thing. And to be honest, it's standard now. Like
they probably just racked up the damage and the damage resistance, and that was it.
Yeah, monsters directly scaled with whatever you got. So like the challenge always felt consistent. So there was no sense of progression really. And like all games do this now. Like Genshin Impact does it and stuff like that. And Diablo Immortal, like you'll get an upgrade, and it won't really be an upgrade because all the enemies will just scale up to your upgrade, So like there's no sense of real progression, So again, like it's easy to put these kind of systems in games because you see titles like The Witcher do it or whatever do it and whatever do it, but I think there's something that's been lost in what defines an RPG, and that's like the sense of growing a character. So I'm hoping if they are trying to attach that identity to Redfall, that they nail all those aspects of what makes an RPG an RPG, or if it's something different entirely. It's maybe I'm overthinking it a little bit here. But
yeah, well, I mean, we can assume they're not going all the way with RPG elements, that they're kind of finding a middle ground between what they did with other games. So I grabbed 2 screenshots. Let me look at them real quick, and then we're going to move away from Redfall. But there's this loadout tab for your character, and there is tiered weapons. There's white, blue, purple, green, and probably legendary for orange. So like they said, we didn't even mention this in this whole discussion, guys, but they did say there were Diablo elements in the game as well as Far Cry. So your gear is tiered by, I don't know what you call that, by common status and legendary status. The other screenshot I have here is the perk tree, and they have 10 skill points. I paused this on the video while you guys were talking about the game, and there's a skill tree that you'd see like in Far Cry where it radiates around and then it kind of branches out between each branch for his second. Like, remember how he has the staff that puts down the UV light? There's something for that, and then there's something I think is like healing or health regeneration. There's a battery and power tree, so that will like recharge gear maybe. So there's going to be a lot of meaningful things to do in the game. It sounds like they're probably going to go just beyond what they did in Prey and make it a little more RPG-ish than they did their last game.
The RPG word, by the way, in this interview is used by Game Informer. Was it Game Informer?
Games Radar.
Games Radar.
That's the Games Radar. They always get the really good interviews, but I'm searching on their interview, and only they use the word RPG leading on to the question. So, actually, this interview is kind of describing and then quoting these two gents. And when they call it advancing RPG powers, but the developers don't really use that word, but I get why they're using that terminology. The developers are saying what you get in exchange for co-op is tremendous, synergizing powers together. I think co-op is the way you're encouraged to play this game. Obviously, it literally gives you a buff for playing in co-op.
And it's very cool that
buff, is a co-op buff.
And it's cool that they're straight up like, we want you to play this game alone, or then we want you to play with friends. And there are definitely games where like you can play Borderlands alone, and I've done it a lot, but it's a totally different experience. It's kind of a different kind of game. Let me read a couple supers, and we're going to talk about this new Xbox event. Everybody wants to talk about it. I want to talk about it. Jez doesn't want to talk about it. It's going to be great. Keo Saturn, thank you so much for the super. Says the greatest podcast is now live. Xbox 2 is on right now? Shoot! No. Kung Fu Hot Dog, thank you for the €5. He says, hi, Cole. I'm going to buy merch soon. Started playing Mass Effect Andromeda and find myself laughing at the bad dialogue, despite how pretty the game can look. Yeah, Mass Effect Andromeda is it's not a Mass Effect game. It's a halfway step to Anthem, but I still played it. Detective Seeds with a $20 super. Thank you so much, Detective. He says, playing WoW. Oh, Jez. Playing WoW and wanted to stop in for a bit. Nice to see my dude Jez turned on the mic for this interview. Much love, guys. Thank you so much for that. Drawn TJ says, keep making the amazing content. Gaz will make some more rap videos and burn people's corpses. It's what he does.
I love making that video. People say it cost me like $2,000 or $10,000 to make the video. No, man, I filmed it. I edited it. Well, obviously my mates helped the camera. I didn't pay anyone to do that.
Your friends
I paid
are
my
very
friends
gracious.
in food. That's how I paid my friends in masses of calories. And
so it cost him $75 to make that video. So drop him a super thanks. Sith Lord said 2 hours early. I started dialysis early, but apparently not early enough. Jez, people are requesting Xbox 2 bathwater. When can we get it?
Oh man, you have to stay tuned for that one.
Oh my gosh, the perks that come with your show.
Gaz has already put in a pre-order for the first batch.
Hey, thanks to you. Thanks to me, you enjoy YouTube Premium for a year. I signed up to that, by the way. Thanks for that.
Oh, really?
YouTube Premium for a year?
Oh,
yeah,
snap.
some promo. Yeah.
I forgot about that.
Yeah. I signed up. Thanks to you, I think. No, thanks to you.
I don't know if that ever came through. I think Google just
definitely
scammed
use your. Did it? Oh, I definitely use yours.
Know.
I didn't use anyone else's.
Look.
I saw the link and did it. So hopefully you get it for like whatever.
Thank you so much.
Papa Baco says, thank you for the super. Says, hit that like button. Yeah, I haven't said that. Hit the like button if you're having a good time. We're going to get knee deep into this Xbox stuff. He says, hit that like button or I'm going to show up at your house and, oh, never mind. He says, Colt always tells me to be nice. So just hit the button, please. Hit the like. Let's get that up to 500 if we are amazing. We'll try to do our best. Dave from Outbreak Gamer says, Colt, Gaz, great show. Amazing. Guess Xbox 2's Jez. And Risk It for the Biscuit says, what's up, Colt, Gaz, Jez, chat? I saw an article about Xbox Developer Direct. How certain is that happening? I think it's a reaction to backlash. We're going to get into that in just a second. Alvin, thank you for the 10. He says, Arcane has a 22-year history of never being generic. The idea that they were making a clone of anything was never sound reasoning. It's going to be unique. I agree, Alvin, because in that interview,
That's the point. Yeah.
which is really well written, right, guys? Like, Games Radar did a really good job writing their part of it, and they got so much information out of Harvey and Ricardo. They said they were really reaching and stretching to do something they haven't done before. So he's right. Dub with the 5. Thank you so much. Just shout out to my 3 favorite peeps in the gaming podcast scene. Excited to hear about this showcase and more excited to actually see it. And Red Wolf says, let me read a couple supers. Colteastwood. I was talking to Red Wolf last night. Oh my gosh, he makes me laugh. He's a good dude. One more. Jetty Jagoli says, Jez, what are the new project name leaks? Jez, let's talk about what happened the middle of your day here. What were you thinking? What did you do? Who's responsible? No, I'm just kidding. What happened today? Tell us. What was the big news? It's the big news.
Oh, I originally talked about this back in early December even. I think me and Rand talked about it on the show originally, and then that we'd heard this possibility that there was going to be an Xbox showcase in January, and I put that out there because everyone was sort of like angry about Microsoft no showing the Game Awards, right? And Rand made the point that if they collaborate with Jeff Keighley, right? And if you collaborate with Jeff Keighley and stuff, you don't want to be like you don't want to steal Jeff's thunder by saying like, oh, we're not at the Game Awards because we got our own showcase, So Rand made the point that like they kept quiet about it because out of respect for Jeff Keighley, and I thought that was like a fair point, possible scenario there. And I've had to switch headphones because these Bluetooth ones are just knackered. But yeah, so we'd heard about it for a while, and honestly, I had mountains of sources on this. I think I was told by 8 different people that there is going to be some kind of show in January. But for me, I don't like pulling the trigger on things without having absolute, beyond shadow of a doubt, some form of physical evidence. And that physical evidence, screenshot or photograph, that kind of thing, to prove it beyond shadow of doubt. That came through today. And I suppose because Microsoft's starting to share it with influencers, and maybe some media outlets have know about it already. And I was kind of, if this is out there now, it's only a matter of time before it's me or someone else. Because Jeff Grubb also brought up Jeff Grubb corroborated that there was a showcase when he talked about Ghostwire Tokyo announcing a game called Hi-Fi Rush, I think. And Jeff Grubb said that was possibly going to be at this show. So that sort of like made me think, well, if Jeff Grubb knows about it, pretty much everyone knows about it at this point.
No,
I mean, you guys
glad
have become.
You broke it.
Say again,
you
guys.
broke it at the right time. I think you did, because I think Xbox has a bit of a disconnect with some of its core fans who are really starting to get really anxious, impatient. And then the Oreos thing, like Mondays we were representing, and the Oreos thing was just like, oh, for flip's sake, really? I mean, after you butchered my Halo, and I didn't even say anything on socials because people can't handle it. Or not because I did. I just thought this is not a hill for me to die on. But just privately, I was talking to you. I'm like, this is so stupid.
You gotta remember though, like,
you did it at the right timing. I think the timing of your announcement actually probably helps them. Microsoft may be pissed off at you, but I don't think you did well, it's not our jobs to do the marketing for Xbox, let's be honest. Like, they're crap at it. That's their problem. But as Xbox fans, we want to get some good news. And just like, we're like, this is the attitude of Xbox fans. This is the image. We're just like this on a Monday, and then your auto is like, there it is. Thank you, Jez.
No, our image was,
and we are ready.
We were like, oh my gosh, Colt and Tim Dog says there's going to be news this week, and then I wake up in the morning, I roll over expecting my text from Gaz, and instead it's like Xbox is like Oreos.
I was what am I looking at? I just woke up though, like, oh, whatever. But we know.
You gotta remember though. Sorry, go on.
Yeah, no, I want to hear.
What are you gonna say?
Reason there. He's got reason.
How you damage control? I'm trying to help you here.
I'm damage controlling for Microsoft, even though they're probably at me right now. So like, you gotta remember that there's different audiences for different things. Like, the audience that's going to see Xbox on a store shelf with Xbox Oreo on a store shelf with the Xbox logo next to it. That's completely different to the people who pissed off on Twitter waiting for like Starfield info. The person who's buying the Oreo, chances are they don't even know what Starfield is. Chances are they don't care about any of this.
Xbox stamped Oreos. I just don't get it. Like, Michael Jordan had Duracell, Hanes, Gatorade, Nike. He had like what was the hot dog company? I remember he had like 7 or 8 endorsements in the 90s, and I was like, well, I mean, he's the ball player. Like, he deserves to push Duracell batteries or a Gatorade because he's the GOAT. Like, that wasn't even a term back then. But Xbox has not done anything yet. Like, they don't have anything to back up the Oreo name. They were selling Pringles with Master Chief on there, and
They're
The game
selling
got
you
delayed.
diabetes. Look, Mountain Dew, Oreos, Doritos, any of these
No,
healthy?
hold on. I got.
You get a mandatory gym membership.
I don't want to do that. It's just a weird optic, Jez. Like, here's Oreos. Everyone's like, wait a minute. You're supposed to have 24 games in Game Pass and exclusive to Xbox coming in the next 6 months. 6 months. So,
But dude, you have to think of it like this, right?
Month, though. It is early in the month. I will say that.
It is.
It's a collaboration, right? So like they can't just not announce it because like Oreo will be like, well, you embarrassed of us or something.
We have a contract.
Yeah, that
You're like,
contract,
yeah, but
that's
we're a
an
bit
announcement.
embarrassed right now. We're like,
That's
what do you
true.
mean? I don't give a damn. You got a contract for this.
Yeah.
Let's go. It's just like these are things agreed in advance. I wouldn't. That's why I didn't go hard on the Oreo thing. I was like, okay, the Oreos, when are we getting this news? You broke it. All right, 25th. Let's go.
Well, it's happened like multiple times before where I've seen these literal scenarios happen before where it's like Microsoft has been getting criticized and flack and fans are getting antsy and stuff like that, and then they've dropped like a new controller gradient or something, you know.
Yeah, they do.
And then it's yeah. So you know, it just sort of came at a weird time, but it's also kind of like, you know, that what they're gonna do. They got a contract. They're gonna piss off Oreo, the legendary biscuit company, by denying them their chance in the spotlight.
You just showed the audience and the chat two things that we all glossed over, and it's hyperbole that Gaz and I are like raising our voices about the Oreos thing because I think it's funny. It is funny, like when you see an American Girl doll with a little mini Xbox controller, you go,
"Oh, that was terrible."
Gosh!" And it's not for us, but you kind of like, "Ah, gosh!" Right? But what Jez pointed out today,
you never know, right?
You're
American
right,
Girl
because
doll might turn a little girl into a lifelong Xbox fan. You never know
if there's games.
Like,
yeah.
Well, she only wants to play Roblox and Minecraft anyway.
You're dang right. That's what 90% of the console gamers are playing, Roblox and Peppa Pig. You're dang right. But you know what, Jez, you're spot on. Like, we make the jokes, right? But you don't stomp all over a marketing agreement that's been going on for months for Oreos and like just bury it with your announcement a day early because Xbox fans have been whispering in elevators like, psst, there's going to be an event tomorrow. It's going to be announced.
I think it's a Microsoft problem. They don't market well. I think it's almost unanimously agreed, even with the hardcore foaming at the mouth Xbox, that Microsoft doesn't market its games well at all. I mean, there's deafening silence. There's 6 months. You should have been starting marketing 3 months ago of these games. Look, the RedFall, they started advertising the moment they revealed it. Last CGI cutscene, which was last year or 2 years ago, sorry. So we're in 2023 now. And then they stopped because it got delayed. And now it's like, where's it? Where's the gameplay? Where's it? Now that, Jez, you've given us somehow, it cascades down. I think it's Microsoft may be annoyed at you, but I don't think there's much to be annoyed at because you've helped pacify fans. At least, like, there's something there, bro. And this, if it wasn't for your article, it was turning pretty sour. Trust me. As soon as your article came out, everyone was like, "Okay, there's hope. Now make it official." Because Aaron Greenberg comes out and goes, "This is gonna be a fun week for news." I just shut the Aaron, just give me some specifics now. I'm tired.
He's not allowed to, but at least Aaron's trying to get fans like at least ready. So Jez, tell us what you reported on today. For those who are joining us, we've got about 1,300 people here. So you put an article. I've got it linked in the description. Your article on Windows Central. But tell us what the gist of the news was. We haven't like really scratched into that.
Well, you know, I just want to say that like it's honestly like as nice as it is bringing, you know, a little bit of positivity to proceedings when everyone's feeling down and stuff. It's not the mentality I have when it comes to some of this stuff. Because at the end of the day, I'm not here to market for Microsoft. I really am not. You know, I didn't think like I need to inject some positivity in Xbox right now. I had the information, and it's my job to share it. You know, more so than ever. You know, and because we're under a lot of pressure at work right now. to drive traffic with all these weird shit going on at Google and all this algorithm stuff. And I want to keep my job, you know.
Yeah.
So I definitely ain't here to market for Microsoft and stuff like that. But it's sort of like, it's just interesting what the response has been, because it shows that how tired Xbox fans are of waiting for some of this stuff. But anyway, for those who don't know, what I wrote today was that Xbox has a new direct. Xbox has a new direct to developer, direct to audience event, which we believe they're calling Developer Direct, and I have no idea what kind of show it's going to be. I don't know if it's going to be like a deep dive, interviews devs and stuff like that. I don't know if it's going to be a rapid fire sort of Nintendo Direct, very marketing-y kind of thing, or if it's going to be something more technical even, because one thing, everyone's been asking for something different. Like, I remember when me and Rand started debating on the Xbox 2 podcast, like some of this stuff, like should Microsoft go down the Xbox Direct route? Mm-hmm. Should they do that? People were pretty split.
Yes.
Yeah.
They were?
We want it as content creators, right? Because we want stuff we want stuff beyond the Activision deal to write about week in, week out. So we're a little bit biased. I would argue we're a little bit biased towards wanting a Nintendo Direct style show. We want the news beats. We want them. But there is a lot of people who aren't necessarily content creators out there who did want Nintendo Direct style as well, more frequent news, because they're insatiable. But there was a pretty significant portion, if I'm remembering right. Reminder, correct me if I'm wrong, but it was like 40% or something like that of people said they like the big Christmas
E3
Day style E3 blowout,
Mm-hmm.
So like,
I'm gonna pull the chat.
Pull the chat.
Yeah,
pull the
I was
chat.
just gonna ask you to pull the chat.
So like
with your pull.
I mean, we've been hearing about this show for like weeks and weeks and weeks, and Jeff, I mentioned earlier, Jeff Grubb talked about it as well, and Aaron Greenberg's been teasing it. You can tell Aaron Greenberg's absolutely itching to get this out there, and
I think he feels it, doesn't he? A little bit. Okay,
I think so. Yeah, Aaron's very in tune with the fans. Aaron is really, really hands-on with, getting out there and stuff. When we were at Gamescom, like he was just like meeting fans the whole time, like not even doing the business deals. It's just fans getting feedback, sitting down with fans left, right, and center.
Yes.
Aaron Greenberg is a really great guy.
It's fair to say, Jez, that Aaron probably wishes he could speak up more often than they get to.
No doubt. There a lot of the marketing stuff like that we criticize him for. He's probably like legacy corporate, entanglements and stuff. And I know this because of my own corporation, they're having to, sometimes you have to fight through all this like bureaucracy and the structures that have been put in place for decades. And it's just like, well, that's the way we do it, and it's like hard to break those walls down if you're not like Satya Nadella himself, and then getting his ear to get the authority to break down some of these walls. I'm not apologizing for him, but we have to make a lot of noise as fans to get us to that place that we need to be, and that's why we do this stuff, right?
Yeah.
But anyway, we discovered that this Developer Direct show is coming on January 25th, although the date might not be completely set in stone yet. They might change it. They might, change the name might not be set in stone either, but like this is the first like sort of physical evidence I had that sort of listed out what the show was going to be. It didn't have the full details of what's going to be there, so even if I had that, I wouldn't have leaked it because there wouldn't have been surprises and stuff like that. The only things I put in there were things that obviously be there. Minecraft Legends obviously going to be there. Forza probably obviously going to be there. Redfall probably obviously going to be there. But the sort of the one thing,
what about the new ZeniMax IP that they're working on? You think would you guess that's like ready for them to talk about?
Possible. It's very possible. And also you got Jeff Grubb talking about the Tango Gameworks smaller game that might be announced there. And man, no, I'm not going to leak that. But there's a bunch of stuff that's sort of like in flux about it that I'm still not sure about. one thing is the whole contention about Starfield. Like right now, the best information I've got is that Starfield is going to get its own sort of developer direct maybe in the future, possibly. And maybe they'll save. Maybe they'll even.
No.
I mean, maybe they'll save Starfield for like a bigger sort of blowout and stuff like that. But it does seem like at the moment the best information we've got is that Starfield might not be there, because they've got another plan for it. So that's pretty much where we're at right now. I wouldn't be surprised if like there is going to be a specific, like how Nintendo does a Pokemon Direct, or they do like a whatever Direct. What Nintendo's other games that
they have like 3. Zelda,
I think they can have the
Kirby,
best of both
Zelda,
worlds.
Kirby,
Like these,
Pokemon.
like poll. Look at the poll, man. Poll is strongly weighted towards. They're not content
read
creators.
the poll out for people who are listening
Do
to the
you
show
want
on.
more small? To people listening on Apple and Spotify, I love you. Sex my face. The poll question, designed by Colteastwood himself.
Get to it, guys.
More smaller events a few times a year from Xbox. And right now, as of 300 votes, 87% say 304 votes. It keeps going up. 88% say yes. They want smaller events. I think that's the right answer. I think you can have both. This is how you do it. Game Pass is a living, breathing thing with a dynamic flow of games.
A tweet doesn't do it.
They are.
I don't think a tweet does it for some of the games that drop in.
I thought you said weed doesn't do it. I'm like, I beg to differ. What doesn't do it?
A tweet.
Tweet.
Jez. It's hard to say. Jez. Which one's Jez? Jez is the one down here. Okay, Jez. Now I forgot what I was going to ask. I have ADD. It's great. It really gets you through the day, ADD does. I was going to ask, what do you think about, isn't it feasible for Xbox to have 2 small events per year plus their E3? Like, that's not asking too much.
Yeah.
What have you just said?
I think they'll go even more frequent than that. Like, if these are like, sort of transparent. If this is like an effort to be more transparent and they're sort of like developer diaries kind of things, maybe they could be even more frequent with it,
Yeah.
I think like they could be exploring something completely new here. The fact that they call it developer direct says to me like it might even be like showing us behind the scenes kind of thing. And I think that's really good to show us like more behind the scenes stuff, because one of the big sources of toxicity and misinformation is a complete misunderstanding about how a game is made, to be quite honest with you.
Mm-hmm.
If they're
do Unreal Engine 5.
Yeah, exactly. There is a lot they could do across the whole industry, really, to sort of bring the fans along for the ride and educate us. And people
is developer
might
direct?
be like,
Sorry, Jez. Go ahead.
No, go on.
I was going to ask you, is developer direct maybe the thing where Matt Booty's like, all right, what studios are ready to show something for a January event? And then they provide their own stuff. It's submitted and Xbox just pancakes it together into a 20 or 30 minute presentation. That's what it sounds like to me. Like this now directly from Obsidian. Here's nothing.
I have no idea. I mean, this is one thing they need to be transparent about. Is like, how does the marketing cycle start? We're all sitting here like Microsoft should do more. They should show us more stuff, and some scraps of information out there, and it is scraps. We don't have like a full blow by blow breakdown of how these shows are made, like from what I'm aware of. But we get like scraps of info where people like saying like it takes months to put a vertical slice together that's presentable enough to be put in a show these days, because a lot of the things that get implemented in modern games, like the last minute stuff, like the lighting physics that we have now, and God knows what else. Like, those are the things that you perhaps implement towards the end of development. It's not like back in the day where there was like no lighting, and you could just sort of like make a vertical slice at any point in development. There's got to be like towards the right near the end where you sort of bug fixing and polishing things. That's when things seem to emerge nowadays,
I think vertical slices are a bit deceptive as well. If you look at Stalker, then you look at Atomic Heart. We were talking about this on our show. Atomic Heart, we're viewing it with some skepticism because we've been getting these vertical slices that look very good. You're not seeing much meaningful, curated content or any
That's
kind
the
of
thing as well.
combat, yeah.
Gamers are very skeptical these days, So how do you make the sort of vertical slice that is actually like not just presentable but also playable? Because the content you're talking about means it has to also be playable. By which point you've basically got a finished game,
Yeah.
So like, how do you like pull together a marketing beat when you're pretty much towards the end of development and you're trying to get a marketing beat on that level earlier on in development?
But Microsoft doesn't have that problem because ultimately with Game Pass, it has a deluge of games and it's marketing none of it. Not Rick and Morty, sorry, High on Life. It had hardly any promotion. So you should have an organic, constant advertising campaign for Game Pass, or the games appearing or coming close. I mean, it's a bit silly, let's be honest. We've got Forza, RedFall, and Starfield coming supposedly in these 6 months. Time is ticking away. None of these have had ad campaigns. I mean, it's a bit crazy, no? Something's gone awry. Unless they've decided, look, people have short attention spans, to which I agree. We should have a concerted, very heavy marketing campaign dedicated to that small window just before release. I also agree with that. I think the traditional model that you can build hype over time in the early game, depending on the game. Starfield is one of those where you would want to do that. But if you think it's highly saturated, which it is, Game Pass is highly saturated, which it is, this year's highly saturated with Tears of the Kingdom, it's going to be, you want to have a laser-focused, sustained ad campaign. If that's what Microsoft is doing, then maybe they might be justified in their radio silence. So that's what I think they might be doing, because that's the only thing I can think of in the absence of them doing nothing as far as marketing is concerned, apart from Oreos.
It depends, though. Like, it's like the marketing, like you're talking about, essentially is just to play
a game basis. Yeah,
it's kind of like the marketing. They do different kinds of marketing. Like they've got a very strong TikTok presence, right? Who here uses TikTok? Not me. I don't use TikTok. Not that, and that's
I'm not
like
12.
So
I might get on TikTok.
Yeah.
I might get on TikTok.
So guess.
The marketing that might appeal to you, would it even need to exist? Because essentially you're already aware of Xbox. They've got an awareness problem right now. So a lot of their marketing budget seems to be going broader to the normies. Should we call them normies?
Sure.
Me and Rand call them normies. I'll call
Muggles.
The Muggles. Yeah. They're broadcasting further afield to the Muggles who are buying their Oreos, or they're scrolling on the TikToks and they're buying their Oreos through TikTok. Maybe, I don't know. Buying their Chips Ahoy through TikTok. So Microsoft's like one of their big marketing goals of Microsoft, and one of their big metrics which they use internally is this sort of new to Xbox stat. One of their key metrics right now for growth that they're using internally is new to Xbox, which is why I think you're seeing perhaps a lot of the marketing falling over there, because I think they consider a lot of us, we market to each other, We're core fans, We tell each other, oh my god, have you heard about this game? We're the kind of people who will search best Xbox games on Google and find my great article on it, or best upcoming Xbox games, Windows Central, and find my great article on it. So like, we're the kind of people that they maybe don't necessarily need to market to as much, and you could argue, I'm by no means like a marketing guy. I didn't even finish high school, but like, sort of the way I see it is like, just from speaking to people at Xbox and reading documents I shouldn't have access to and that kind of thing, it does seem like a lot of their marketing is falling further afield, because they are trying to grow this new paradigm, which is Game Pass, a sort of subscription-based service that they're hoping they can make habitual for a new generation of people.
It's a
venture.
I still think, and I keep saying this, it cascades down from the core gamer. Because when people ask, the muggles will ask you, "Hey, Uncle Gaz, what should I get? Get Starfield. You can build a spaceship. You can put stuff in there. Have your own base. Invite."
And your nephew goes,
have a
"No, thanks.
party."
I don't want to play at 30 frames." I don't think it cascades down. I think the core gamer is at the very bottom of the foundation of Xbox's platform. And I want to ask you, Jez, I think majority of the money comes from the normies, not from the hardcores who buy every game. We don't make up the big chunk of the revenue, do we?
No, we don't. We don't spend $1,000 on Fortnite a year. Or at least I don't. But that's the business. The business is Fortnite money now. It's Robux.
Yeah,
It's that kind of stuff, Like Gaz's nephew might be saying, what are you talking about? I played that game in Roblox last week. I can build a spaceship in Roblox, build a spaceship in Minecraft.
I would beat the crap out of my nephew if he said this.
Well,
that's Todd Howard, how dare you disrespect his name? No, probably could, probably run at 60 frames.
It would on Roblox.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's like marketing. None of us are marketing experts. It's not our job. It's not even marketing is a boring topic. Ultimately, we talk about marketing is because we just want to see the games.
We're talking about the big announcements and where they're sitting and looking at Jez's article here, which is perfectly written. Now, looking at Jez's article, we talked about Redfall. Let me quickly ask you about Minecraft Legends. I'm not a believer at all. I'm not a fan of Minecraft Dungeons. Played all the way through it, got to the end, and died on the last level, and I was like, I just didn't really enjoy it that much. Sell me on this game, or tell me what you think it is.
Well, I actually got to check out Minecraft Legends a lot at Gamescom, and I'm pretty excited for it. Have you ever played Brutal Legend?
Yeah, I like Brutal Legend a lot.
Did you get, the RTS sections in Brutal Legend?
The tower defense, sort of like the defense sections?
So imagine that, but on steroids. So like, it's instead of being a subsystem of the game, it's kind of like the whole game's designed around it. So like, it's sort of like a randomly generated open world map with lots of different bases of various strengths and powers. And you take your little hero. Your hero is the cursor of the game, basically. And it's like a super advanced cursor. You can run around and slash things, but you can't take on a whole base by yourself because you need siege weapons to break the walls. You need, anti-archer artillery and all different kinds of stuff, right? You need your own base to generate resources. It's an RTS. It's an action real-time strategy game. And I am a guy who likes strategy kind of games. Like I like MOBAs. I like MOBAs, I like the idea of real-time strategy. I play real-time strategy campaigns, but I'm too dumb to play multiplayer. It's just too much stuff to learn. My brain just doesn't work that fast. Yeah, like Gaz. Like when I try, if I like
RTSs, I'm dumb.
One of my colleagues wrote Age of Empires 2 Fast Castle Strategy. It's one of our top articles from that year, and it was just like I was trying to read, and I was like, my God, this guy's some kind of genius. It's like reading like Sun Tzu or something, And but Minecraft Legends seems like a little bit more my speed. It's not going to be like super hardcore where you've got to have uber micromanagement skills to succeed. It's just sort of like almost like a 3D tower defense game. You can go around automatically.
It's another
build towers.
Minecraft game not made by Mojang. Like this one's hired out to another studio. I don't remember who it is. But
Blackbird. They made Hard Space Shipbreaker, or is it Hard Ship Spacebreaker? I don't know. Hard Space Shipbreaker. They made. Which
sounds like a late night movie that Gaz would watch while it was still staticky.
That's actually a really awesome game. You play as a salvage guy and you cut up spaceships with awesome physics. It's actually a really cool game.
That does sound cool.
Remember Wing Commander? That was a brilliant game. Sorry.
Yeah.
So what is your personal opinion compared to Minecraft Dungeons? Like I enjoyed some of it, but after it's said and done, I mean the game didn't score all that well, and 15 million people played it. But what do you think is going to happen with Legends?
Legends is interesting. I don't think it'll be as popular as Dungeons potentially but I could be wrong. I think Minecraft Legends will be a fun, smaller kind of game, and because it's not gonna have like set levels like Minecraft Dungeons did, and I think like it's gonna be a little tougher, I think, than Minecraft Dungeons. Minecraft Dungeons is Minecraft Dungeons does get tough at high level.
At the very end, it's like, yeah, that was my problem. Did you play Minecraft Dungeons before I move on from this game a few years ago?
I played it hardcore, actually.
What about you guys? You didn't play it. Pass.
My issue with Minecraft Dungeons was like they did an update patch which nerfed my build. Yeah, they did. They did a patch which nerfed my build. It nerfed my weapons, and I was like, and I was trying to kill stuff, and I just couldn't kill anything anymore because they nerfed soul generation or something. And I built my old character around souls, and I couldn't use them anymore. I
played so much of the game with Dealer Gaming and Lethal Papa, who's in the chat, help him moderate and kick out the sexy stripper chat. We played through the game and we were doing fine, and we got to the very last level and we walk in the door and it's like bonk, dead. Bonk, dead, over and over. I'm like, what happened? Like, do we need to go back and grind some more? Anyway, let me talk about the next game that you've got on this list. Xbox, apparently, to this leak you're talking about, would possibly be talking about Forza Motorsport, and Turn 10 has been quiet for like 3 months. But what do you think has happened with Motorsport? You think it's going to be at this event? Do you think it's before June? Those are like the big questions. What's your take?
Yeah, I don't know a damn thing about Forza Motorsport. That studio is pretty secretive and locked down and stuff like that. So all I know is, all I think, I don't know for certain about Forza Motorsport, but I think Forza Motorsport is going to be there in some capacity. Maybe it's like, it's going to be, diving into the graphics engine or something like that. Because this whole keyword of developer direct, it has like almost a technical connotation to it. But okay. I wonder if they're going to go deep diving into the development of some kind of systems, or looking at the physics and stuff, the simulation of Forza Motorsport. Because I am a racing games guy, but people love that stuff. Like getting really into the weeds and how like the tires handle and stuff like that. I don't know if
you use the accelerometer with the tire pressure, and then you get a double barrel carburetor, you can get some real great racing thing and stuff. Yeah, I mean, I like.
You're not into racing then.
No, I do really like Forza Motorsport, and Turn 10 has been really dodgy about, like, they had the Eric Izaki, if that's his name, I think so, who's really great. When they get him on the interview show, he's really great, and you could tell he's dug into it. He's all excited. Then they had this other guy on, I can't remember his name, Alan or something, and he was like really PR-ish. And you probably don't check this stuff out, Jez, and maybe Gaz, you maybe watched a little bit of the interview. You watched my video where he was on screen, but he was like really careful about how they describe things. And they said, Scooter says, "Don't mock me, Colteastwood." No, I actually love all that nerdy stuff for the racing, but people are like, it's got to have all of this. I want to sit in the pit, and I want them to wait until they move the valve stem. I want to turn the controller over the valve stem, and then bring the air into the tire and get the right pressure, and you got to lick the tread and get it warmed up.
Yeah, that's good though. There's a very hardcore crowd. In racing, it makes sense. So in Halo, no sprint, that's a different thing. But with racing, you want to... And I think with Turn 10 are really going a bit hard on the realism stake. But obviously, how they balance that with the spectacle of their normal releases, because they're really good games. They introduce you straight into a little set piece in Dubai, like the last one. How are they going to manage that and then give you the tools as well, like to make that, it could be optional or whatnot. There are distinct crowds there. But with Turn 10, I'm so relaxed. They always shocked me. Every time the last Forza game, I didn't play that much. Not Horizon, I'm talking about the Motorsport series, because it felt like fatigue. Like it was coming every biannual one. This one is day one. Now I'm like less subjected to their Motorsport series. I feel like this is very special. Like this is how long have they been working on this game for? 5 years?
Almost 5 years, I think. Gaz, when do you think that they are trying to release this? Because they gave us
I have no idea.
Like 10 minutes or 8 minutes of pure footage in June.
I don't know what's going on. I expected a lot of noise. I don't want to see any Aaron Greenberg little X emoji things. How do you do that? What do you type to do that? But I don't know. I'm at a loss at the moment about what Xbox is doing. Not in a negative way. I genuinely don't know what their strategy is, other than what you've told us, Jez. 25th of Jan. Still things are quite late. At least announce it. Well, I think it's going to happen this week based on what Aaron Greenberg said, right? They're going to announce the event this week. So probably tomorrow, Tuesday. Why would they do it late week? Must be tomorrow.
I've heard it's tomorrow.
It's tomorrow. No one's going to watch my Redfall video. But yeah, like tomorrow, that's great news. Because then, maybe that's why they're pissed off at you.
Just upload your Redfall video and call it new Xbox event.
It might not be tomorrow. Like that's the one bit that I'm not sure on. Like it's.
Well, hopefully it's tomorrow because then it's just early week. You have more time for it to gestate and build. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. Cole, I have no idea. All I know is it would be great if you release Starfield before Zelda. If you release it too late, it's a problem. But then release it much later, then fine, because Zelda comes out in April, I think, or May. Why coming out May?
Whatever happens, I just want you, Jez, and the chat to know I love you so much. Olive juice. Whatever happens, just remember, we've been friends for a long time. And just hugs from all around. Just hugs.
You just have some MDMA or something. Why are you being so touchy-feely?
Guys, I just want you to know that when times get tough, the strong will prevail. I love you so much, bro.
I have no idea what you're alluding to. Let's talk. I love you too.
Let's talk about.
Jez, do you know what he's on about? He just take a line without snow. I have no idea what's going on right now.
It sounds like those proof of life videos. Like I'm, holding up the newspaper. I'm like, whatever happens, feed the dog at 4:30. Like that. Let's talk about Starfield. And I've been so excited for this game. And I feel it's great. You guys have been doing such a great job talking on the show while I've been listening and learning. But I'm really excited about Starfield. And I'll share something on Twitter, and like the chat's they're hilarious. Like they said that we do better marketing than Xbox because we're always talking about what's exciting, right? So I share these little video edits I make of Starfield gameplay, the little bit we have, and I'll say Xbox exclusive. And Jez, I want to ask you this because I get without fail 40 to 50 replies telling me that either Starfield looks crappy, that's a given, or it's not Xbox exclusive.
What?
Block them. I never see anything like that on my timeline because I have 10,000 people blocked, and it's beautiful. It's so zen when you make
I stopped blocking, but I've been muting as soon as anyone says it's not Xbox exclusive. I mute them because either you're a troll or you too dumb to know what's going on. But I want to ask you about that specifically. Like,
what I usually do is
is Starfield exclusive?
I click on their profile. And if their profile is just tweet, crying about console wars, I just block them. Don't even think about it. Block. If it's like someone trying to make a point or have a discussion, then great. But 9 times out of 10, it's just an account with no name dedicated to trolling. It's so boring. It's like, dude, bad. I would never have anything in common with these people because it's just like, why? I can't connect with these people spiritually because they're just
they haven't connected with another human being sexually. That's why.
Well, there's that.
There's just sad people around. I'm sorry, man. Like,
don't you get that Jez just blocks anyone who disagrees with him? Don't you get that one?
Yeah, good. You know,
So
good.
Starfield
I don't
is
block anyone, but I don't care.
in the 2021 showcase. Sarah Bond was up on stage and said like an amazing epic RPG in space. And yes, it's exclusive. And on screen it said Xbox exclusive. And people really have a problem with that. I want to get into that in just a minute. Let me grab some supers, as my friend Red Wolf would say. Trell Roberts, thank you so much for the 5. Says, my favorite podcast, hit the thumbs, especially if you want to see werewolves in RedFall in an update. Interesting. I hope this game gets full support, but we'll see what happens. Risk It for the Biscuit, who has been tirading and having good laughs against people who are upset about the PlayStation being vertical. I'll leave mine vertical, so will he. It's no big deal. He says, it's weird marketing, but you wanted them to market. And there they are, the Oreos. Boner Jams is just a great name. Thank you for the $5 super chat. This is Happy Monday, everyone. All hail Colt Eastwood. God bless. Yes, to the cult. Gaz, don't join that.
Don't do that hand sign. What are you doing?
What? Raise my hand? Okay, Cloaked Onyx. Remember when I was like, I have a question? You're like, why are you raising your hand on your podcast? I have a question.
Oh, you raise your hand. Sorry.
Yeah, raising my hand. Cloaked Onyx with the $5 super says, do you ever hear about the tragedy of the Xbox exclusive Scalebound? Don't do that. Please don't do it. Assassin, who's been a member for 19 months.
Man,
Yeah,
I swear down.
Say something
there
about it.
There isn't a single podcast that exists that can't mention Scalebound at least once in the show. It's just,
oh my god!
It's like, I don't know what
Let
you call
it die. Let it die. It was
so
gonna
much
be
like
a game anyway. Let it
What's the
die.
probability of Scalebound coming back from the dead, guys?
I don't want to say.
What? Oh, so there's
What?
a chance.
What?
Why
I didn't say that.
Why? Oh, your face is telling stories. What is going on, Jez? Why do you look so flustered? What is? There's no way. You know something though. There's something there. That cheeky smile I haven't
Jez,
seen in a while.
Just answer me this, Jez.
What?
If Scalebound is a post-2020 game,
It's something connected to it.
are there going to be no Beats headphones in this version? Just yes or no?
What
Oh,
is
man.
he doing?
I don't know anything about Scalebound, man. But it's just hilarious that they're just the rumors persist. It's like a scar. It's like a scar, isn't it? Scalebound.
What? But don't try and move. Chat.
I don't know anything about Scalebound. What are you talking about?
Scalebound is something else. Camilla slept with him, or something happened. I
Did
don't
you
know what
notice
it
that
is.
as soon as you said that?
Changed completely. He's so red now. Why are you getting red?
As soon as we said that, Jez was like trying to shove food in his mouth.
I'm always ready. What are we talking about again?
I don't remember what game we were talking about. Let me move on. Assassin's been a member for 19 months. Talked to him last night. He says, evening, gentlemen. Glad to see you get some rest, Colt. I did. I went to bed early last night. It was great. He says, Jez, if this event happens, how much should we hold our expectations on a scale of 1 to 10? He doesn't elaborate, but I'd say 10 be hold your expectations all the way back. What do you want to tell the audience? How back do they hold?
Sorry, can you say that again? I was reading the hilarious reactions in chat.
Because are they still reacting
the mere
about that
possibility
game? Oh, yeah, they're
of
still
Scalebound.
talking about it.
Yeah.
Freudians.
I don't think. Genuinely, I don't know, man. Crazy things are happening there.
You know what? He's not saying no because if he gets proven wrong, that he's like, because why you hesitate? There's something there. There's something there. There's something there.
Oh man,
why can't they? I just don't understand. I don't understand why Xbox gamers want so badly to resurrect. Is Paris left the chat? Before I say it, I'll just whisper this. I don't understand why so badly they want Scalebound to come back, Banjo or Conquer. Like, why don't you ask for better games? Okay, now we can talk back in regular volume because I don't think Paris can hear me.
Maybe Microsoft's buying Platinum or something. I don't know.
Why is it Scalebound? That's the meme. Why can't it be like Phantom Dust or something like that? Because Phantom Dust was cancelled too.
Why can't it be a good game like Crackdown 3 that people want back?
Yeah. Crackdown 3? That's the hill you're gonna die on?
I'm just saying, crap.
man.
Don't make good crap games. You mentioned Crackdown 3, Bray.
I would
Carl,
I would die on
are you
the
someone
hill.
who loves Crackdown 3?
I would die on the Crackdown hill
He
before I
spent
die on
100 hours playing it, apparently. Yeah, the
I don't believe
infamous
that.
tweet.
I
While
don't believe
you
that.
guys
I'm
will
sorry,
be done with your
I
one
couldn't
and
hear
done
it.
games,
You guys were breaking up.
I'm gonna be
sorry.
spending 100 hours playing Crackdown. Can you hear that? How did that go? Actually, not a bad game. I thought it was actually fun. The campaign multiplayer was an absolute failure, but the campaign was fun. If it's like the first game, well,
I actually enjoyed the multiplayer more than the campaign. I think I'm the only person who did.
Well, I played it for 8. I had fun for 8 minutes, but nothing brought me back to it.
The whole time I was like, oh man, this is like such a cool idea. You know, I was having fun with the idea, but there was just nothing in the campaign I found fun, except for Terry Crews. Terry Crews is fun.
Terry Crews actually was fun. I found the gameplay fun. It was just like very systematic. It was Crackdown, collect the orbs and all of that. It wasn't anything special. Multiplayer just kept reminding me of that demo, Jez, of the Cloud Promise. You know, the Uzi cutting up the concrete slab, and then we end up with this like big tiles falling, and I couldn't even find a game after that.
You were playing, it was like it was like Magna tiles. If anybody has small kids in the chat, it looked like Magna tiles, and these are these like colored, transparent plastic magnet things that you put together, and that's what it looked like. It's like, hey, shoot down my magic castle. Yeah. But we weren't talking about Scalebound, were we? We were talking about something else. Let me read the rest of these here. Metal Mashius says. Thank you, Metal Mashius. Says each event should have a developer showcase their game, and in the showcase with, quote, you can play it right now on Game Pass. I don't agree. I mean, shadow dropping doesn't always work. What do you think, Jez?
Shadow dropping. Yeah, me and Rand had this funny back and forth about like the possibility of Starfield getting shadow dropped and stuff. Yeah. I don't know, man. I think they'll probably try and play it safe and have a traditional marketing cycle for that. Do you think
Go ahead.
Sorry, go on.
No, you were saying I'm sure what?
No, I'm sure like people were talking about like internally the idea of shadow dropping to Starfield or something. I don't know, but
you think they would shadow drop it at the September event? Starfield?
September event?
September event? What are you talking about?
Whatever happens, Gaz, you've always been a good friend to me.
What is going on with your messaging? I'm so confused with this chat. I'm not high. He's
trying to leak something.
He's talking about Scalebound League.
No,
I
didn't say anything about Scalebound. Jez confirmed on this show that Scalebound was coming out shadow dropping tomorrow on Tuesday. No, I'm just kidding.
I'm so confused.
We're having fun. We're having fun. Let me read. We're just having fun here, right? But whatever happens, guys, take care, Loki. All right. So we got Matt McDonald Media, who says, can we all agree we don't want Starfield to be released between May to July? Summer is a busy time and people play games less. Winter or fall for Starfield, please. Gaz, say something.
I mean, okay, I do care because of like Zelda might eat up on it. I want Starfield to have its light, but ultimately if it's a good game, that's all I care about. So people are worried about the cycle. So Xbox can do well. Okay, I want Xbox to do well. More than that, I want to know is going to hit the quality bar, and the performance of it is a big question because I think it's going to be 30 frames on Xbox. But, well, I hope not. I hope I'm wrong. But yeah, it's, in terms of like June, July, I don't know. You've got Diablo coming in the summer, and that's going to be big unless the game tanks because the developers have been treated like crap, which they probably have under Bobby Kotick. So, I don't know, man. I still think March would be really good. Sustain mega hype before Zelda. I know it sounds unfeasible because RedFall is going to start pumping up its advertising Jan 25th. We're going to see a lot of it, and boom, here we go. But fine, maybe. I don't know, man. I don't know. Who cares about when they're going to, like, the best time to release? Just show us the games. I just want to see the game.
I should ask the chat really quickly.
Chat, yeah. When do you think the game will come out?
Well, I mean, we did that last week, but do you care for those listening, this is what I'm writing. Do you care if a game releases during the summer? Now, I play games all the time. I know you guys play games all the time in the chat. So I'm asking, if I'm busy during the day, I will definitely sit down to play a game at night until I go to bed. So I don't care if a game releases in July. So I'm putting that in the chat.
That doesn't make a difference to me.
You know how I can solve everyone in this chat who's watching the show and you guys. How I can solve your sort of the sense of thirst for new games. Do you know I can solve it for you? I've got a cure. It's called
That's a Game Pass.
World of Warcraft.
World of Warcraft.
If he played it, Jez, he'd be addicted. I said that to us on his last show, last week.
Seriously, just play World of Warcraft, right?
Crap. Classic.
Come with me to World of Warcraft Dragonflight. You won't care about any games launching. You won't sit there like, oh God, when's the next game coming out? You won't care.
Because you will neglect your wife, your kids, your diet, everything when you play World of Warcraft.
He's sushing you.
You've got herbs to collect. You've got herbs to collect.
What was
you've
the
got you've got mines to mine. You've got Mythic Plus to do. You've got a reputation to grind. None of the games matter. Starfield.
What year was WoW at its like hot peak? What year was that?
2023. 2023, baby.
Oh gosh. Was it like 03, 05 or something when everyone was like, oh my gosh.
I think Burning Crusade.
I was still in high school in 03, man.
When was it? I don't remember because I didn't play World of Warcraft.
Never
played World of Warcraft.
2005 or something.
Okay.
Yeah.
In 05, I was at my first real job. And one of my friends from high school just started working there. And he was telling me, I'm going to try and truncate this because it's like super crazy personal. But he basically was so addicted to the game, he didn't talk to his wife. He barely ate dinner. He would take his food in to do raids. And everything was falling apart. And back in 05, that was, if anybody really knows me or have watched my podcast long enough, there was a period up until 07 when I wasn't gaming very much. I didn't know I wasn't into all the news. And he was telling me how he was so addicted to this game called World of Warcraft. And I was on the phone with him and it was just going over my head. I said, why don't you just stop playing? And he's like, well, I could never do that. And then Jez is here going, hey, Colt, come to World of Warcraft.
World of Warcraft
you can't quit that game.
Ever played. One of the best games I've ever played. Yeah, I have, but I was very different.
No, you haven't. You haven't. There's part of you late at night when it's dark and you're all alone where you think to yourself, man, I could really go.
I thought you were going somewhere differently with this.
I have a very specific taste that the game doesn't allow for, which is a killed world PvP. I was such a troll in that game, dude. I would just kill quest givers.
World PvP's back, man.
What do you mean?
Back.
Welcome to the World of Warcraft podcast.
Random max level elite guards won't spawn out of nowhere.
Okay. You can't kill quest givers and stuff, but
that was amazing. You just terrorized people like they couldn't get their quests. It was amazing. Felt like a real world. I once organized a raid. Organized a raid into Ironforge. We got destroyed. But it was so much fun. Imagine a 60 man just going in there. It was amazing. Like when you saw the early clips of someone's kiting one of those big mobs into Ironforge. This is old school.
Kazakh.
Yeah,
Lord
bro, Kazakh.
You know it, man. You know it. See? You haven't fully quit. I don't know you haven't because I can hear the spark in your voice. I can hear it in your voice. You haven't fully quit. Nobody fully quits, man. Someday
it's like crack.
It is like crack. I say there's part of my brain that's like a cluster of neurons dedicated to the game, and I just it's something else.
If Cole played it, he'd be finished. I'm told Cole don't touch that game.
I won't do it.
See, I'll start him off with WoW Classic because I think that's really just amazing. Just like the splendor of this is what I was talking about with Fable. and why I think Fable from Playground Games is going to be incredible, because Fable were really constrained under the last gen. Now you can actually have a proper world. Like you can go through a forest and go like from the Barrens to Ashen Vale, the equivalent of that, and you see this massive change. Bro, I remember I took a Zeppelin and I was Undead Horde, and I ended up in.
I'm undead.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
The Horde is the one for the Horde. I would never touch Alliance because I just loved it. I just actually hated the Alliance. Yeah, always. And I need more games like that. This is the game design I always talk about. The closest thing we were supposed to get to an MMO RPG. What the hell, Detective Seeds? I was trying to read.
Shut up about World of Warcraft.
Huxley was an amazing game. Chat, who remembers Huxley? It was supposed to be an RPG on consoles. It was going to be
with
wicked.
mechs. With mechs. I remember that.
Yeah.
Oh my.
Unreal Engine.
Oh my days.
This is the thing, developers, what are you doing? There is no RPG on consoles, like a first-person proper RPG. The closest thing you have is Destiny. This is like what I'm saying. Game developers are default to their ideas. We should have had a massive like Blade Runner-esque planet. People come in, like you go to an academy, all of your mates, different classes, then you fly out into space, and boom, you go into a planet and like, oh crap, we can't go there. All the players are pirates there. That's messed up space, but we need to get the resources. Permadeath or lots of freaking reasons. There's so many good ideas in my head. Someone hire me. Phil Spencer, I will have your children if you let me make this game. It's so much potential. I'm so disappointed in what game developers are. Like what Starfield represents the best example.
Pretty sure Phil just heard that plead, by the way. Pretty sure.
But Starfield is the most exciting one there. Name me one game apart from Star Citizen, which, let's be honest, by the time we're dead, it'll come out of alpha.
I was going to say, aren't you excited for Star Citizen coming out in 2040?
Yeah, exactly.
Let me close that up, because you guys have to agree that games have devolved into this cinematic thing, and they just kind of do that same bleh, and sometimes it's good. Like we enjoyed Callisto Protocol, but it was just kind of doing the same thing we've been doing for 10 years, and maybe you need to go back to the well and do what was amazing in the early 2000s. And I don't know. Let me read these supers here. Fire Shadow says, Colt, Gaz, Jez, appreciate all the effort and content from all of you. Is there a confirmed 60 FPS mode for Starfield? If not, I'll get it on PC. I agree, Fire Shadow. Jez, let me ask you this. Do you think it's my right to know, as a consumer, customer, and fan, to know, gosh dang it, hey, Todd, is this game 60 on console or what? Like, aren't I allowed to have that answer?
Sorry, can you repeat that?
I didn't know what you said either. I'm glad both of us are like phased out.
As a customer and a fan and a consumer, aren't I allowed to have the answer? Like, just ask, Todd, is this game 60 or 30 FPS?
No, you can't, Colt. And you know why?
Why?
Because you don't play World of Warcraft, that's why.
Which is 120 frames so easily.
Nah, yeah, I can get like 300 frames per second in World of Warcraft if I turn the graphics right now. But
on my Pentium.
Starfield, maybe they just haven't locked it down yet. I mean, it's spooky, right? The fact they haven't. We'll move on from World of Warcraft now. We'll move on. Sorry, chat. We'll move on. We won't turn.
That'll be the timestamp. It'll say intro World of Warcraft. Colt has an aneurysm of epic proportions.
I'll tell you this though, like no joking aside, if we played together, I guarantee you.
Oh, I thought you were going to talk about Starfield. The good people of the show want to know if it's 60.
If we played it, I can already. I've done it so many times. I know what we're going to do. We're going to pick Undead. We're going to go start Undercity, and we're going to spread around. And you're going to be.
We're going to spread around, all right. We're going to spread around after the show.
Guys, let's do it. The three of us stream it.
Do it.
Fine.
Let's do it. We get caught into World of Warcraft. We're playing American servers. We'll all play Undead Rogues, and we'll just go and kill everyone.
Undead Rogues, three of us would be amazing. Yeah. That would be
running around in Black Rock
and just killing Alliance all the time. Oh,
so,
Black Rock.
Should I take this off now or wait till I get level 12?
Just take it off now.
Bring her too. Bring her too. She can play too.
Yeah, it's true. A healer.
Be a,
All right,
Healer's
let
hard,
me-
actually.
you guys.
She'll be a pocket healer.
We need a healer though, or a
Well,
mage.
anyway.
Quick
I
crash
said
control.
I said we weren't talking about Warcraft anymore.
God damn it!
I swear, if I see it in a super, I will reach through the Ethernet cable and I'll choke
chat.
the person.
Can you imagine like you call it the Source Guild? Call it the Source Guild. Okay, dibs on the Source. The guild is called Source.
Okay.
If we all did it, chat. Can you imagine all alliance? And no, fuck. I had to spit there. All horde, all of us horde. Source Guild. Oh,
With
we
Michael
play
Pachter.
with Jen,
We'll have Michael
all
Pachter
of
with us.
Destroying her alliance. I would. Please do it, Cole. Don't be a piece of shit. Just.
I'm
do
so
it.
frustrated with you right now.
I'm sorry.
I told you you haven't quit, man. I can tell you haven't quit.
Damn it, he was right.
Part of your soul is still for the
My
horde,
mate-
man.
My
the
mate is
horde.
so good at WoW. He's in the Wikipedia for it. Like, oh, come on, man. We would kill
He
it.
hasn't quit either. He hasn't quit either. He's,
Yeah, he's
still,
never quit. He's still playing. He's still
Oh,
playing.
Okay.
Secretly.
Moving forward, or else it'll never move
All right.
forward. Yosemite Blam
Starfield.
says crud. Well, I mean, I guess you kind of answered the 60 thing. It might come back up again. Yosemite Blam, thank you for the super. He says, crud, didn't realize it was an early start. Thank you, respecting the natty. Can we get a go dogs from the panel? Sick 'em, go dogs. Crap, this was said last year and I forgot who it was. I'm from Washington. Go dogs means University of Washington. I don't watch college ball. I don't remember what it is. Yosemite Blam, thank you. Hargy Chani has to say something important. Thank you for the 5. He says, kind of like Randall Thor's idea of releasing Starfield late June at the same time as Final Fantasy 16. Move Diablo to another date because Melda is in Zay 2. Zelda's in May 2, 12. Jez, what do you think about Starfield in late June around the same time as Final Fantasy 16?
Did we move on from the Starfield 30 frames per second discussion already?
Yeah. No. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about that.
Cole's trying to structure this show.
Fuck you, shows, man. He knows stuff. Chat, I'm trying to extract value out of Jess. 30 frames.
The day I brought you on, guys. The day I brought you on, there was no structure. You know, this guy, he'll take a jelly and he's like, all right, let's do it. Jez, okay, first
What do you
of
want
all,
to talk? Do you want to talk about Starfield?
Let's talk about the
Or
frame rate because you kind of got into like maybe they haven't locked it down. Let's talk about that first, and then we want to talk about the release window. Whatever happens, I love you.
Oh, did you see? Oh no, it's Alex in the chat. He goes, take off your chat. Take off your shirt. Take off your shirt. Take off your shirt. Chat. There you go. Take it off. He's taking it off.
Hey. Wait. Fact's sake says I'm out. Too annoying. Oh, come on. We're having a good time.
Colt's never gonna dance again. Guilty cause he's got no rhythm. Take the shirt off as well. You're wearing your own shirt, you such a shit. Under that shirt. You're wearing all the Xbox games. God.
Hey, look, ready? Are you ready?
God.
Delayed. Canceled, not coming, delayed.
Oh my god.
All right, Jez, tell us about the frame rate. What do you think's going on with the frame rate for Starfield?
How are you doing the timestamps for this show?
I go back and watch the show, and I'm probably gonna.
This is gonna be everywhere. There's no time
Watch
stamp.
the show again?
I got
Oh my
lightheaded
God.
when you did that music. Okay. All right.
Breathe.
Frame rate.
Center.
Hold
Colt
on.
in through
Hold
the
on.
nose. Out through the mouth.
What is that you're holding?
It's a feather
there?
duster, and I'm going to use it to wipe my sweat. I'm nervous, so I'm sweating.
Oh my god! Now you got dirt all over your body.
Oh man.
Got dirt all over my chest here. Alex is so sexy. But okay, let's talk about the frame rate. Let's talk about the frame rate.
What is
Frame
this
rates.
podcast?
Okay. So frame
At
rates.
one time, Jez, this show was somewhat civilized. And I don't know what happened.
Guy joined.
What's the frame rate for Starfield? What do you think? What do you think's going on?
Okay. Right. Starfield frame rate. It is kind of spooky, isn't it? It's kind of spooky that they haven't just come out and said, put an end to the discussions about it. They haven't come and said, yeah, okay, people are speculating that it's going to be 30 or 60. Here's our performance mode and here's our whatever mode and whatever. And it does seem like as we get further into the gen, more and more people, more and more games rather, are almost ditching 60 frames, like as a sort of as a baseline.
Yeah.
Or like they're making massive compromises to hit 60 frames, like Evil West, for example. I couldn't play that game at 60 frames. It looked like a PS2 game. I was like, dude, what are these jaggies? Like, I could literally I could do steps on these jaggies. Like
it was 1080p, I think was why. Yeah.
I sit too close to my TV. Maybe it's my fault, you know. But I just couldn't handle the jaggies, man. So I was just like, screw it, I'll play this game at 30 just for the reduce those jaggies, you know. So the jaggies, the compromise is back. Maybe Starfield will bring back bring us back down to earth, you know. That if we want to have high fidelity, if we want to have more detailed character models, we want to have like a galaxy-wide world where every apple has full physics, we have to sacrifice that 60 frames.
Otherwise, somebody's going to call out the fruit physics, yeah?
Yeah, maybe we do, man.
I don't get it, because we've got a console with 4 times the CPU power. We've got a massive GPU. We've got a nice big memory pool in the Series X, and it's basically doing the Xbox One X 1.5 thing, right?
Maybe they just ain't that powerful, man. Maybe at the end of the day, they're still far, far cheaper than a gaming PC.
Time to get PC, people. Zorka's going to masturbate to that soundbite. God. But seriously, like 30 frames. I'm expecting 30 frames.
Like he needed a reason.
Yeah, he did. But,
I mean, don't take this as leaks or anything, because I don't know a damn thing about
this.
Starfield.
Is all guesses.
I don't know
like technical
damn
guesses.
thing. It's all guesswork. Like I just saying, I wouldn't be surprised if it was 30 frames.
Can I say something, Jez?
That's quite
Since this is your guys' show. Why do people say Starfield looks like crap? It's running on that old engine that Fallout 4 was on, and Fallout 4 runs at 60 with the upgrade. It's going to get a full upgrade. I just don't get the correlation between you've got this old game that on an old engine, but now they think you bring this old dusty engine up and now it's like dying under new RDNA 2 hardware. That's where I'm like in the 60 FPS camp. I'm like, are you sure? Like, I don't know.
It's clearly not the same engine, you know. I mean, it's the same engine in terms of like what's at its core, but it's like built on and advanced and all that kind of stuff. You'll have higher polygon count models, stuff like that, you know. Fallout 4 textures weren't that impressive, and polygon counts weren't that spectacular. Like, go and play it. Like, literally, go and play Fallout 4, and you'll see it's like...
I have been.
It looks like a 360 game. Yeah. Because it essentially was, you know.
With I mean, with the resolution and frame rate mod, it's nicer, but I mean, the characters' faces are like 20% of the detail we've saw in Starfield characters. But
yeah, exactly.
It's old. It's an old dusty game.
Starfield is the next step in that, you know, journey or whatever. And I think like if you want to have a living, breathing world where like NPCs are living, breathing, got their daily routines, and nothing's on rails. Like everything has a set scripted stuff going around. You know, a lot of that's compute, right?
No, I mean, Evil West was on rails and it ran at 1080p 60.
Yeah, and that's not even open world, you know. So basically, get a PC. It's time to get a PC, people. PC Master Race. RTX 4090. Sell a kidney. Sell a kidney.
Just spend $3,000. Now you can get a great pre-built PC for about $1,500, $2,000. Gaz, what do you think the reaction to the general populace on console is going to be if it's a 30 frames release?
I'm very surprised by. Well, I shouldn't be, but the chat. By the way, actually, Cole, you could probably devise a poll here, but the chat is very strongly anti-30.
Sure.
It says 60 FPS is the industry standard, which is, and I know it's console warring point, but it doesn't necessarily need to be. Xbox is this most powerful console, next gen console, on paper. This big game comes out, Xbox exclusive, and it doesn't run at 60. The optics of that aren't that great.
Yeah.
Does the game look good? In my opinion, it looks really good. The game is doing so much, and people think this is a cop-out answer, but you know me, if it's wrong, I will say it, but I don't mind. What I'm wanting, for me, is a solid 30, because based on this combination based on what we saw, it would look terribly bad, inconsistent frame rate. And often at times it seemed like it wasn't drawing much. So I don't know what was going on there. Mm-hmm. Then you got Todd Howard saying he has an affinity for 30 frames.
Several times. 2 different interviews.
Just an educated guess. I just think this game is going to be at 30. If it's at 60 and it takes a massive res hit, that's great. I'm just trying to manage expectations, not based on any information I know. I'm just having an educated guess.
I mean, we are in an era.
If it's 60 or better than 30, I'll be happy. But
yeah, and we're in an era where console gamers get to choose, right? We've had this choice for a couple of years now, if not about 4 years. Let me read this huge super chat from Detective Seeds, who dropped a red blazing $100 super chat. He says, all right, big tip for a big question. I have become a big fan of 60 FPS in comparison to 30. Does Starfield fare better if there is a 60 FPS mode and a 30 FPS mode, or because of the size and scope, is that not going to happen? Now, I'll tell you one thing about that I've kind of learned recently about when they build games, they have a memory budget. And you get the team together, and you got the audio team, you got the animation team, you've got the environmental team and the music team, and you all have to come together and bring your best work into the game. But you all have to make a decision on how much of your memory budget you're going to use for RAM, and so they all have to come together for what would be, I think it's 16 gigs on the Series S, if it's not 12. And it's much smaller on the Series S. So they have to stay within that scope. And sometimes one part of the team, and maybe for Starfield, it's like, oh, we need that like Todd said, we want that interaction with every object. You can pick up every object. Every object can fly around the room when it gets shot or it gets knocked around. That takes up a big chunk of the memory, and you don't want to compromise on that. So you have to pare down things for the music. You have to pare down animations, and then you pare down frame rate. I think that could be a possibility, but I'm also 50-50 on look at the hardware, look at how the engine, which Jez and I were talking about, Creation Engine, they kind of referred to it as Creation Engine 2. So it's like, the next step of Creation Engine. This game's been in the works since 2016. Like, why wouldn't it run at 60 in 2023? That's where I'm sitting.
Well, this is the kind of thing a developer direct could clear up. They could explain, transparently, here's a bunch of boring technical information as to why exactly this is 30 frames per second. We've made this choice because we want to make sure every single space dildo in this game has full physics, so you can pick them up and throw them around and put them in a bucket.
At launch, Jez, for Cyberpunk, did you play at launch?
That's a great point. This is what it would look like if it was 60. Less dildos, but do you want
they kind of did that. I mean, when Crackdown 3 first announced its technology, I was in Windows Central at the time, but this is even before I joined Windows Central. One of my colleagues, who's now my co-managing editor, he went to E3 or Gamescom or something. I think it was Gamescom, and they gave him a demo of Crackdown 3 running in the cloud, and he, behind closed doors. And I was thinking, like, they should have shown this publicly. Maybe they did, and I just missed it. But they explained it in detail, and they were like, "Look, this is what happens to the frame rate if we crank up these chunks." And they literally had a frame counter and all the stats, and like, this is how much bandwidth it's using, this is how many servers spin up every time we add more chunks and stuff like that. And I thought it was like super interesting. But Microsoft thinks like, I suppose marketing seems like, oh, no one's going to be interested in that. But give us that stuff. I want to see a bucket of space dildos in Starfield. And the more they add, they show how many more space dildos it takes to tank the frame rate, and explain to us in detail why these floating point operators or whatever cause the frame rate to tank. And then
why they need to have 30 of them instead of 100, yeah.
Yeah. Do you want to have a static game world like The Witcher 3 or something, where everything in the background is like a solid object and you can't interact with it or whatever? Yeah. And pull back the immersion? Or do you want a game world where there's space dildos that are fully interactive models that you can pick them up and throw them around? And when you shoot them, they go flopping around in realistic rubbery tones. 0G space dildos. Okay. 0G space dildos.
This is next gen, everyone. This is next gen.
And that's why PlayStation gamers are salty. They're not getting started.
Well, damn it! Let the
I will
Xbox
sacrifice 60 frames. I will sacrifice 60 frames.
I'm with you 100% there. I always said I make fun of these Xbox guys now. 60 frames per second connoisseurs. The whole of last gen, you were mocking PC or defending it. And all of a sudden, you're like, then get a PC.
Yeah,
Gaz. A PC.
Yes.
If you
want. It is the return of Filmic. It is the return of Filmic.
I mean, you've been right all along.
Filmic is a thing.
Filmic gaming. 24. We're back to it.
I'm making videos that are more filmic now. I understand frame rate. Okay.
Talk about Hellblade.
Avatar. I watched it on IMAX. Did anyone find it jarring that there's 30 that goes to 60 to 30 to 60 to 30? Because that's what it was happening yesterday when I was watching on IMAX.
It doesn't do that in the 3D version. It stays at 30 or 24. Version. 24.
No. Mine
what movie are you talking about?
Avatar 2.
I didn't note. I would have noticed that in a heartbeat, but I watched it on a regular.
So clear. Your eyes can't see 60, Colt. No. Okay. No, but maybe there's something wrong with.
They didn't do that at the regular. Maybe they do it in IMAX, but they didn't do that in the regular standard version in 3D.
Oh, it was IMAX. It was.
I would have been like, "What the crap?" I would have noticed immediately.
It was so jarring.
Let me say. I gotta speak for everybody on this one. As the Xbot in me, right? Mm-hmm. If this game comes out at 30 frames, I will be like hoping and praying that Digital Foundry, the first thing they say is like, holy smokes, they made this game super demanding. And if you want to play it at 60 on PC, you better have this big rig, or you better be prepared to drop your resolution way down. Because if this game comes out and they're like, a medium build PC, an i5 or an i7 or a Ryzen 5 with a 3070 is running this game great at 1080 with 60 with ray tracing on or something like that, then it'll be like, what the crap are you doing? Because Todd said we've had the Xbox hardware team over here showing us how to make it sing, make Starfield sing on the Xbox Series consoles. And I do not want to see it sing, Jez, at 30 frames.
Chat is raw. They are saying Starfield
sing?
Wait.
That wasn't even trying there, Jez.
Can you do Beyonce?
I'm not allowed to. No, I don't even know what Beyonce sings. But yeah.
Who's single lady?
I don't. I'm not singing that. Maybe Dua Lipa. I'll sing Dua Lipa.
Diana by Michael Jackson. Or Dua Lipa.
No, I'm not going to dance for you guys. All right, what do you want me to sing? That 30 frames better be justified.
Boys. Everybody.
I will sing Backstreet Boys until the show is over.
Do it.
Backstreet's back. All right. Come on. We'll do a duet. Man.
Oh my God, we're back again.
Oh, yeah, here we go.
Everybody say hey.
Yeah.
Gonna bring the flavor, show you how. Yeah. Am I original? Come on, guys. Holy shit, man. Am I the only one? Yeah. Am I sexual?
Yeah. What's the line?
Am I everything you need? You better rock your body now.
Yeah. Everybody, yeah.
Guys, no.
Oh my gosh. We can edit that out, right? Okay, so 30 frames. Let me read these super chats. Fawn says Starfield. And he says, we need a release date. Dead Planet, thank you so much for the super. Says, it might not be a game release, but this January show just feels like the start of what Xbox has been waiting to become for 6 years. Gosh dang, that's right, because they got all these studios and now they're going to start releasing.
What happens when Jez is here? The podcasters are absolutely chaotic. And the 1 year or whatever, how long I've done this with you, it's never been this crazy. Are you going to do timestamps? This is a complete mess.
I'm going to do timestamps. And I'm going to be like this the whole time.
This is what happens. This is what happens. Like, I pushed through being tired now, and now I'm wired. So now you're getting like overtired, hyperactive me. So yeah, we've gone through the looking glass, people.
Yeah, we made it through the wormhole.
Yes.
Dead Planet, thank you for that. Biffernaldi says, so you're telling me there's a chance, yeah? If he's talking about Scalebound, we're moving on. Hargit Johnny says, confirm Platinum acquired by Xbox, Scalebound in development, aka from Jez Corden himself. No. Arnott Skywalker, thank you for the 2, says, does Exo Mecha live? Delayed 2 years in a row. Last I heard, they said they needed more time, and that was like 2 years ago. Right, Jez? Exo Mecha, the shiny free-to-play shooter.
I haven't heard a damn thing about that.
Yeah, not heard anything. Space Stovakin with the $2 super says, Jez is shoot. Well, I mean, I got to read it. And you can just say, you know what? I didn't hear you, Colt. He says, Jez, is the Gears collection real? And we're moving on. This next super chat is from... Oh. Hey, Gaz, whatever happens to me, can you feed my dog at 5? 5 p.m.?
I'll do it.
Where's the dog?
Okay.
Remember the time your dog had edibles? I'll give it some.
I am clean as a whistle. You know, I don't drink. I've never done anything. I've lived such a good life, and my dog's been danked.
His dog's been danked. It's true.
Okay.
I love the Loki. Sorry.
Wildman Beanie says, with the 5, thank you, Wildman. He says, Rise, Son of Rome and Sunset Overdrive should be bought back for Xbox. Yeah, why aren't they, Jez? Where's Rise? Is that done?
I often hear people bring up Rise, and it's just like, I think the whole issue with Rise is the relationship with Crytek. Crytek. Yeah. I think like there's all sorts of rumors and conjecture about the relationship there, but it sounds like that game just doesn't have legs. And I think as we get further into the gen and more Xbox games start coming out, we won't need to like have nostalgia for these sort of mid-tier older games. Like Colt probably sits there at night thinking about, man, I wish there was a Crackdown 4. A couple of years, you'll be fine with no Crackdown 4. You'll be fine with it. So I don't think we'll see Rise. I don't think we'll see some of these games return.
No,
but hey,
Rise just needed a better. It just needed a sequel because I think they would have done some things better, and I think it would have been a pretty good game. But Crytek's they've had a pretty choppy past 5 years, haven't they? Like they're kind of almost in bankruptcy for a little while, and everyone's like, Xbox, go buy them. And I don't know.
Yeah, Crytek's a weird one. I don't really know much about the studio, but they've had like some big successes, and they were trying to put their engine out there, and you know, nobody really uses a CryEngine anymore. And yeah, I don't think we'll see much from Rise, but I feel people, you know, there is a potential in that game that sadly hasn't been realized as a franchise, and you can say that about a lot of Xbox IP, unfortunately.
I think Phil Spencer even alluded to that as well, and he gave props to PlayStation actually in the same breath when he was talking about the fact that he admires that PlayStation, despite having some failures, had gone on to try and explore a sequel to those games. Knack 2, for instance, is a good example of one. Yeah. Even Killzone 1, the Halo killer, failed, but Killzone 2 sitting at 92 or 93 Metacritic. Obviously, after that, it kind of nosedived. But I think Phil Spencer has said that he has an appetite for that. Brute Force, he said, is not coming back. Scalebound, if it wasn't until few minutes ago, I would have said it's not coming back. Probably isn't coming back. And I think the only reason why people want Rise, well, Other than some people think it was like a hidden gem and reviewed harshly. I don't think so. I think it represented a visually stellar third-person game like that holds its own, even sometimes to some degrees today. Yeah. And I think Xbox guys want that. It's why we latched onto power so much.
Yeah.
We wanted it to be the world's most powerful console.
I think a lot of these discussions that sort of look into the past, they are from this place of like what could have been, what should have been, you know. And I think like as Xbox finds its legs with regards to exclusives, these nostalgia for things that never were should erode. But
I mean, that Xbox is gone.
More
right?
waiting.
That early 2010s Xbox team is like, they've all been like washed away and replaced. When you look back at Rise and Quantum Break and Sunset Overdrive, Phil actually brought some of those games up, but some of those decisions that we like, oh gosh, like I think that team's just completely replaced. Ace Out Gaming with the $10 super, thank you so much, says, what do you think will happen with Starfield if it's not 60 on Series X? You think it'll hurt the score? And I say delay the game until it has a performance mode. That's just me, though.
Good question. That's a good question.
Gaz, you take it first and give it to Jez.
I don't think... Okay. The technical prowess of a game is important. The frame rate, though, when the industry standard is 30, I don't think Plague's Tale, for instance, got hit for having 30. So I don't think it should do that. The only way the lower frame rate should affect the score is if it's suboptimal. So if it's supposed to be 30 and it's janky 30, then maybe it should be. Or if 60 frames, not that I think this is the case, but 60 frames was so instrumental to the gameplay experience that not having it hurts it, then perhaps like a Forza Motorsport or some other games. I'm failing to think of an example where it's actually really important. That's not a racer. So to answer that question, no. 30 frames. Look, I know, chat. I get you. I'm not saying 30 frames per second you're vindicated. I'd be happy personally with a solid 30, and I think it's an L if it's not a 60 on this Series X, world's most powerful console. But I don't think it should affect the review score as long as it's a solid 30. But the game is great. That's all I care about. The vision of Todd Howard, the 20 years to make this game. Can I do things that I can't do any other games? Of course, it's a bloody thingy game. Like, it's a Todd Howard game. It's a Bethesda game. They have systems upon systems built in this game. And it's in space. Get the mood right, get the quest right, get the exploration right, and that feel of Interstellar in there. I don't give a damn about 30 frames. But if you suck me into that world, and that's what I'm more excited about, that shouldn't impact the score. So people are very volatile against 60. I get you. I'm in awe, and some of you guys are much stronger position than I am. Usually I'm quite emotive, and I'm taken aback by, wow, these guys do not want 30. In which case, I will say, you're going to be bitterly disappointed in these consoles. That goes to a PS5 as well. Because Digital Foundry's Richard Ledbetter said that you need to expect that. If you want the visual fidelity of what you're expecting, something has to give. And the frame rate is going to be that one, in my opinion.
PC hardware and processors and stuff like that, they're so far ahead of consoles now. It's like if you want a console that can keep up with the PC, you're looking at $1,000. The whole point of these consoles is that they're affordable, or at least reasonably affordable, and that's why we're starting to see these breakout versions where it's like there's an even cheaper version, a mid-range version. Maybe there's a future where we have $1,000 Xbox, an Xbox Series XXX 69 420 edition that has a comparable. I'm sorry if you get demonetized because of me, but if it has like,
you're a good company. Yeah. There's worse things have been said.
if there might be an argument to be made that maybe they should make an all singing, all dancing $1,000 Xbox.
Is there a market for that?
Bloody iPhone costs $1,200. People rush out to buy iPhone $1,200 year in, year out, and then they cry about a console.
If PlayStation 6
comparable power to PC.
If PlayStation 6 was sitting on the shelf for $999, right, for $1,000, I think it would sell the same. Probably.
I think do it. Screw it. Why not? Eh? You know.
Well, I mean, the cost, the R&D, and they take a hit on. They buy up all this AMD hardware, and they build these consoles, and they subsidize it with services and software sales. Like, that would be like asking Microsoft, "Hey, do you want to spend double on R&D and hardware, and it'll take twice as long to make back your money?" That $500 must be the sweet spot, and you're going to have to deal with
maybe. But it's just such an interesting discussion to me when, you know, people are buying PCs for $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, and the games that we're running on these consoles are PC games at the end of the day. They're x86 PC games. You know, there's no real reason why they can't like scale back the graphics and scale them up and blah 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 blah. And I always hear this argument like, oh, now they have to make like 3 different SKUs. It's not like that anymore. It's really not, especially on the Xbox ecosystem. It's just not like that anymore. I think like there is probably a future that exists where there's like the multiple versions of the consoles, just like you have multiple versions of a phone. Phones, the Samsung release a year. They've got like the A series, they've got the S series. There's like 4 versions of the Galaxy S. And they've got the Fold, they've got the Flip. They all do the same bloody thing.
Do you remember what Phil said like a year or two ago, Jez?
What did he say?
He said that he could see the future where you get a console like you'd get a phone. Like every 2 years, there'd be a new model of a console out. Because he said that his favorite Xbox customer is the one who buys the Xbox One. He said this way back in the one time, Xbox One. He says, like, my favorite customer is the one that buys the Xbox One S and keeps it for as long as they can till they can't use it anymore. And they just buy games, because then they make the money off the console and that customer's happy. They just keep buying games. They don't, I mean, they can make some money off consoles, but that's a discussion for another day. If Xbox really is ready to bring a mid-gen or a next generation sooner than later. Let me read a couple more supers here. It's so crazy.
Surface Pro devices every couple of years, every 2 or 3 years.
Let me ask
like a new Surface Pro with extra Intel. Why not do?
And those how much are those things? Those things are like 3,000 or something.
They go up to 3,000 if you get like a 2 terabyte model. Yeah, you know. But that's the thing. They hit every price point. You can get a really slow Surface for cheap. If you just want to browse the web and read Reddit and troll on Twitter, you can get a really cheap Surface, like $400. That's your Xbox Series S. Or you can go extreme. You get Surface Laptop Studio, like $3,000. You know, then you got DGPU and you got the flipping screen and all kinds of crazy stuff going on. You know,
well, I'm asking the chat. Would you? Now, I mean this question seriously. There's already a no. Would you buy a new upgraded Xbox every 2 to 3 years? Now, I want you to think about that if every 3 years Xbox had a console that was more powerful and faster, because I think we're looking at a future where from Xbox One to now, everything's going to be the same architecture. Everything will just keep moving forward. Your games will be compatible across longer generation counters. So think about it, because if all access really took off, Gaz, where you spent $25 to $32 a month for Game Pass, Xbox Live, and a brand new console, and at the end of 2 or 3 years, you could just pay the upgrade fee like you do with your phone and get the Xbox Series X2. Like,
God,
would you guys do that?
That's why I was wondering if like the Xbox All Access thing was like an on-ramp to that future, where it's like you don't buy the console, you literally just subscribe to it. Like what?
Look at that
Plus or whatever.
That's exactly what you do with your phones.
So I always said that. It's like we're so willing to spend so much money. I know phones are instrumental to our lives now. They're a part. They're like an organ to our body. Not really. It's like the domain in Halo. If you know your lore, that's what it is. The domain is literally the internet.
Let me ask you guys.
People treat the console cycle as like this sacred cow because they.
I like that though.
Yeah, but we all like it.
I want to maintain. I'll tell you why. But the meaning of it is gone. I loved the notion, and particularly the 360 gen, when a new age of consoles came in, we stepped into a clear divisible line here, like dividing line. Here it is. We moved into next gen.
But we're not even seeing it now.
nostalgia.
That's what I'm saying. The reality is, it's not. It's dwindled completely.
But also, it also meant your games are like done. Those games are done.
Yeah. And
it's because making games has become so much harder. It's become so much harder. Like back in the day when games were simple, you could say like, okay, we got a console coming in 2 or 3 years. Here's the specs. Make a game for it. You know, it's like Jason Schreier said on Twitter, like games are 6 years now. I think Colt said earlier in the show, game development is 6 years now. Lining up those game launches, lining up those game launches for a specific hardware tier is just not a thing now. So everything has to be x86 and it has to be scalable. It has to be flexible. It has to run on PC. It has to run on PlayStation. It has to run on Xbox. So why not make the hardware scalable? Why not make the hardware cycle?
And that's
why not make the hardware cycle scalable? You know,
it's
they've
done
it with phones. Like,
I
don't know why they're not.
It makes complete sense. It makes complete sense. Look at the poll, which is surprising even me, actually. Look how many people here. This is the core audience, but 43% would be willing to do that.
I mean, I don't want to convince you guys.
Oh, my freaking battery's running out. Sorry,
I don't. Oh, okay. I don't want to convince you guys, but you know, it's pretty viable to take, let's say, in 1 year, the next mid-gen refresh console. Your Series X is probably worth $400 trade in at GameStop in 1 year. You know, like you could upgrade to a new console fairly easily. Jez will be gassed for a minute until he gets his, but I don't know. But there's also the part of you that might be saying no. They're like, yeah, but I really, the FOMO, I can't be without the latest and greatest. And my buddy's telling me that game runs at 60 now on the newer one. It's like, I don't know. We're kind of that way. Let me read another super here. Ralph Williams says, Scalebound, heart. Thank you, buddy. Infinite Umbra says, what's up, fellas? Are you soft confirming you're landing a hosting gig with Xbox in September, Colt? No, there's no event in September. I was just making fun of Starfield. I don't know when Starfield's coming out. I'm waiting for them to talk about it, but just having fun. How are you, Johnny? Huh? Who? What? Me?
I'd love you to be on stage. Just say, hey.
Can you imagine me on stage? Hi, I'm Colteastwood.
Nah, you'd be good. You'd be good.
I'm like,
it's pre-recorded. Paris can do it. You can do it.
Paris is still talented. I'd be like, so Xbox has games.
Paris won't be able to do it after this year.
Why?
Because I'm going to hospitalize him. I see you, chat, Paris.
Yes, you're going to be like that little creature in Return of the Jedi, like Jabba the Hutt's little critter. Trying to climb on him and bite him, and Paris is going to be like...
That's exactly how it's going to go down.
Yeah.
I'm literally munching on fingers at 2 a.m. after doing legs at the gym.
What are those?
Disgusting person. Cadbury's fingers.
Oh, man. I love those. Those are like crack. Talk about World of Warcraft.
I just did legs, and I'm having these at 2 a.m. I'm a disgusting piece of ass. Sorry.
I love those, man.
Can you eat those without chewing?
No.
For me?
What? Oh,
okay. Hargeet Johnny says, there's something to releasing Starfield in the fall with a special edition Series X console. I still want it to come out first half of the year, though. Like, what if Starfield needed even more time to be just right, and Hargeet has such a great thing? I mean, a Starfield edition console could come when the game's ready, but I don't know.
Who cares? I don't care.
People won't buy it anyway. Flame with the $2 says, gosh dang it, I can't read it.
What?
Bring World of Warcraft to consoles, Phil. Do it.
Mate, it makes complete sense. Bro, that would be big if Xbox had World of Warcraft.
You can
work it on a controller. My mate plays on a controller.
Zucker's like, you can't do World of Warcraft on a controller. You just need the elite of all the buttons on a keyboard. A keyboard has superior input with the...
You can play a Demon Hunter with a controller. They got like 3 buttons.
All right.
I've never played Demon Hunter.
Why, Jez? Why is that? Why is World of Warcraft like? Why hasn't Xbox reached out and say, "Hey, can we get that on console?" Because we have mouse and keyboard support.
Might have.
Like, it would be such a moneymaker.
There's like a logistics and there's got to be some sort of investment for that to happen. Like, it's also like this is relevant to Final Fantasy 14 here in Xbox as well, because you got to put all those servers in place. You got to have a customer support team in place. You got to have all this stuff in place to really release that. So it's like it's a real investment, and it represents a real risk, I think. So expanding their mode to new platforms is really quite complicated, but with the ABK deal, I think it will happen. I really do think it will happen, because there's already mods to play World of Warcraft with a controller, you know, and even adapt the UI for Xbox controller. So
suck it, soccer.
People do it already. People are playing it on the Steam Deck, you know.
Okay. Lone Wolf with the $2 says, y'all should do that WoW idea. All right. I'll do it. I'll install it. We'll see what happens. Yosemite Blam said, I almost said Yosemite. Yosemite, what's that? I need to talk to the manager. He says, it was me last year that said go dogs. Thank you, Yosemite. Hargeet says, you only get to play WoW if ABK completes. Let's do that. Let's do that. Once that deal closes, then I'll install WoW and just ruin my life. Oh no, it's Alex. Thank you for the super. He goes, PC gaming's closed.
He doesn't want console peasants invading.
He's such an elitist. He's the biggest elitist I know. And him and I have been fighting over that for like 5 years. Back before he used to slap his thighs around on camera. Alex is the best. Juan with the DOP 250, which is about $4 over here, says 60 FPS should be the base level for any shooter. By the way, he says, I loved Plague's Tale Requiem at 30. I guess you get used to it, though. I mean, what else are you gonna do?
You adjust. It's not, you know, I like you adjust to things. You know, my brother it was my brother's birthday today, and I got him a PS. Yeah, thanks for that. I'll pass that on.
You got him a PlayStation. What?
I got him a PlayStation.
Happy birthday,
2.
Nez. His name's Nez, right?
2 and Monster Hunter 1, because he's a massive Monster Hunter fan. And he, you know, he likes classic games and nostalgia and stuff like that. So I was like,
cool.
Yeah, well, check this out. And we got like
legendary.
Yeah, we got.
Did you get him
Scott HDMI, and we blew. Yeah, so we blew like Monster Hunter 1 up on the 4K screen. And it was like, my God, we used to play games like this.
Yeah.
Did you get your brother
to it?
Did you buy your buy your brother an Xbox 2 hoodie for his birthday? For you. No. For you, Nez. Thanks, Jez. No. You're welcome,
I actually
Nez.
did. I bought him a hoodie for Christmas, actually. So that's weird that you said that.
Well, see, I know how you are. You guys ruined it. So many WoW comments in here. Mr. Nickel, thank you for the super. Says WoW and Unreal Engine 5 would be crazy like Fortnite. Oh, Fortnite is so good. Have you been playing Fortnite, Jez?
I've played
like lately.
Played Fortnite Save the World when it came out, and then I played like maybe 10 minutes of one Fortnite game when it first launched, and I thought,
that's it. It's I never really played it.
I don't like Battle Royale
now. It's changed a lot now.
Okay. I'm not a Battle Royale fan, but I'm a fan of playing Fortnite with my friends and kids. So Yosemite Blam, thank you for another super.
Of those, so I can't play.
Oh, well, okay. I was gonna say maybe Gaz can. I don't know. Gaz can be your kid. How about that? Hello.
Breastfeed me, Jez. I need some bitty. Remember that from Little Britain?
Oh my God, that show, man.
Okay, timestamp at 2:37.
Computer says no.
Gaz says, breastfeed me, Jez. Timestamped. Okay. Yosemite Blam, thank you for the 10. Says, I need Xbox Game Studios to be a bunch of dogs, a powerhouse dynasty, perennial champs. They don't rebuild. They just reload. Let's go, dogs. I'll stop it now. I'm going to watch the game. I'll listen at work tomorrow. Yeah, thanks for checking. I haven't done like the business side of the podcasting, but we're on Google, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and places like that. Thanks to Anchor, right? Jez, it's amazing. So you can listen to this after the fact while you're doing the dishes tomorrow. Please load my dishwasher. Both sides of the sink are full. We got Wandering Dutch with a €2 super chat. Pound. I'm here. Welcome to the ADHD X&C podcast. That's what he says. Element Imperial says, Jez, Starfield space fishing?
If only. Like, it won't be a real game if there isn't space fishing.
That's true.
That's actually where the frame rate went. It went on the fishing system.
It's
Very in-depth CPU.
The fish that react to you.
Yeah, every fish has its own personality, and so that took up all the CPU. Sorry, guys.
There was like one guy at Bethesda Softworks that was like really hell bent on the fish and just like tanked the RAM pool. The Just Storm, thank you for the $10. Says, with Starfield being a huge first-party title, don't you think that first-party will lead the way with optimization in comparison to third-party games like Gotham Knights? He's talking about games that have to be on PS5. Like, are they going to give it that special push, knowing they have to? Like, Gaz, is it going to be like that special push to get it? It's going to be 30. It'll still look great on the Series S, but you'll get this performance mode. That was the Just Storm.
The Jastrum.
Sorry.
Yeah, good super chat. Because that should be the mantra at Xbox Studios, that the first party studios lead the way. The presumption is that they have more, well, they do have more resources on tap. Todd Howard has come out and said Xbox teams helped to fix this. They'll definitely have more hands on deck, more resources, because Starfield is tremendously important to Xbox. That's why, if that runs 30, the most powerful console, the first next-gen exclusive, the big one, and it still runs 30, it's really bad. Unless you get Richard Ledbetter caressing you and saying, no, don't worry, Colt. The PC one also is really hard because this game is really ambitious.
You need a 40 million 90 Ti XLR.
Yeah, then you're vindicated. Then you're okay. We're like, okay, this game is obviously.
That's what I'll tweet. Like, stuff. You need a $3,200 PC to play Starfield at 60 and wait. Delete. It's Xbox exclusive. Send. Selfish Burrito says, "Let us compete." Jess doesn't know that, but we were talking about Satya Nadella, like when he would cross his legs over his knee and tell the media, "Let us compete."
Is that what he said?
Yeah, he was like, "Let us compete." He's like so nice, like he's
smiling. But did he say it with that voice?
Well, no, Colt did.
I think it just kind of evolves over podcast, where it's like,
it's got higher and higher. Now only dogs can hear him.
It started at
about Nadella.
We should let us compete, and then the next week it was up higher and higher and higher. But Satya, like no matter what, he's like,
wait, Colt.
Yes,
you gotta give us a full vocal range now.
Yeah, all the way from low to high.
Yeah. Let's get busy. That's about as low as I can go, and then high.
Do like
can you go low to high?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Your sound is cutting.
The mic.
The gate is cutting. The noise gate is cutting you out.
Okay, let me try again. I can't do it.
It cuts off. So how high do you go? It cuts it off. I can go quite high.
Yeah, your microphone thinks like it's a kettle boiling or something.
Yeah, I have a little bit of a noise gate on there. Anyway, what was the point of that? Let us compete. Juan with another DOP 500 says, instead of a whole new Xbox, I would pay for a modular one that I can upgrade on my own, just like my PC. He says, I don't want to buy a regular PC. I don't need it. I don't think modular is going to work. Just too many variables. Like, not a plug and play APU, right, Jez?
What the fuck?
I'm zoning out now.
I'm zoning out.
I think we're going back to being tired now.
Welcome to the ADD podcast.
Erica.
It's nearly 2 in the morning here.
Yeah. I'm almost done. Let's see. Fun speculation said, if updating back compat to take advantage, updating backcat to take advantage, worth it. Backcat, I don't know. But Hardy Johnny says, is that an Aura ring, Jez? I didn't know you used contraceptives. Okay.
It's one of it's because like I got the tattoo, right?
Yeah.
And then like I couldn't use smartwatch anymore because it's so dark that it blocks the laser in it, or it's so dark or so thick or something, it blocks the laser. So my friend was like, get one of these smart rings. Like it says smart ring. I really like it. It tells me how little sleep I have. And then it sends me notifications like, you're having very, very little sleep. Are you okay?
How
Are you
much
on
do
Twitter?
average, by the way, Jess? What did you say? Average sleep a day.
They actually told me. I think it was like 6 hours.
Oh wow.
Day,
Okay, that's
which
quite
ain't
high.
which ain't so bad. But like there'll be periods where it's like I'll have like a week where I'm sleeping like 4 hours a day, and then like I'll make up for it the next week and then sleep like 14 hours or something.
Yeah.
So it's just
I
all over
average
the place.
4,
It's
so
all
I'm
over.
really bad. I'm really bad.
I have no idea real life.
I'm probably get dementia. It's really bad actually because the lack of sleep. My girlfriend.
I know
keeps
you'll see
telling
those
me.
articles. Do you get 6 hours of sleep? You're gonna die when you're old. Yeah,
I mean,
I
6
see that too.
hours is a bonus. I haven't had 8 hours in years. The last time I had 8 hours sleep was when I had an edible in Canada. That was so strong it knocked me out. And me and my mate were ready to go out, and then we were like, "All right, we're in Vancouver." I had a whole muffin, and then we had it. It's like, did the guy say have half of the whole, or did we just have?
It's like a scene in
And
a
then
movie.
next thing I know,
Did
I
you say
woke up.
have half or have your half? Or did I have whose half did you eat?
It was literally like Harold and Kumar go to America and Canada. It was like I woke up the next day, it's like what
had both
the hell?
half.
Since I've never slept, I can't sleep. It's really bad. It's really bad.
I
really
had
bad.
both halves.
Sorry, I don't know why I'm
and your
talking about
half.
this. There's 100,000 people watching, listening to us nonsense. It's just the ADHD. I'm sorry. Just end it. Just shut up.
Hargy says the actual quote was "Let us have competition." No, he said "Let us compete." Erica said, "Fortnite gang, I'm ready for Gaz to carry us sauce. We need to play with Erica." And Udani drops in with a last minute. Says, "Do the actual quote. Jim Ryan is a fraud, and it's on site." Now, I don't know what the actual quote for Jim Ryan, but he's like, hey, we're going to put them all on PC. But this has been the Ecstasy Podcast, and I'm Colteastwood if you're just tuning in as we get out of here. And thank you so much for all the support that we've seen. It's 2023. We're like on the way to some good stuff. Gaz, before we move on to Jez, what's in the works for you? Sell your channel, get people to subscribe, get them to hit that thumbs up.
If you want to hear me rap, I did a little diss track against some people who came at me. Check out the last Source video. It's pretty sick. Pretty raw.
I need to see this.
You have to watch it. Let me know what you think. Ian Rand was like, that was really good. So if Rand was impressed, then you know it's good. It starts off very terroristy and then it changes up at the end. I can say that.
It really does.
It really is quite bad. Yeah, so hopefully my Redfall video out tomorrow. And then I'm also working on quite a few feature videos. So yeah, hopefully that, and then I'll reserve Souls for the big events. Please check out GameOnDaily.com. Thank you so much. That was so much fun with you, Jez, man. It's probably one of the best shows we've had. Just talking random stuff.
That's
a bit
fun,
of
man.
Xbox 2 flavor and
We should all get to a state where like edibles are legal and just have loads of edibles and podcasts. That'd be like.
I mean, I think they are over here. I'm in Washington State. Everything's legal. Hey, over here, it's like
not legal here. I can't do it if it's not. I can only do it internationally where it's legal.
Token, drinking, boozing, smoking, token.
Oh,
yeah,
wait,
over
Jez,
here
wait,
it's
wait.
great.
No, but yeah.
Jez, thank you so much for finally being on the show, and I'm really glad. Like, it's a really great night to have you on. I got to hear as your outro. How did your article do today? Was it exciting?
I did pretty good, you know, and we need a bit of that at the moment. So, yeah,
no,
I'm pretty happy with it. But
That's
yeah,
good.
it's tough times, man. It's
Tell
tough
everybody-
times in the corporate media.
Yeah, I mean, you guys are where we get all the information and keep us excited about stuff. What are you writing about next, and what's going on with your podcast? What's next for the podcast?
Next for the podcast, I think me and Rand have a Xbox 2 Ultimate Patreon show we're gonna do this week, maybe on Wednesday.
Have you announced who the guest is? Or is that a secret?
This is just Xbox 2 Ultimate. I don't think we're doing a guest this week. So we do one Ultimate show, which is a community, and then one guest show, and then we do Xbox 2 on Friday on Randall419's YouTube channel. So check that out. You can find me on Windows Central, windowscentral.com/gaming, or just windowscentral.com. I don't know if /gaming works anymore since we're new to a new system. And also on Twitter, /Jez Corden, JZCORDEN. And thank you both very much for having me. It was a lot of fun. very
It's a pleasure.
tired. So sorry if I've been a bit scatterbrained all over the place. But
That's all good.
I love you guys, and I love the Xbox community. And you're all awesome, and all the support and love you guys give me from whether you're a content creator or not, gets me out of bed in the morning. So thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you for
Shout
being
out
on.
to the community.
Yes, shout out to everybody in the chat, and the 1,200 people are here. Most of the show, we're going to get out of here, and I'm going to put in timestamps, and I don't know how I'm going to do it.
Good luck with that.
It's going to be so much fun. Thanks, everybody. We're going to hit the button that gets us out of here, and we will see you next week. Keep an eye out for, hopefully, a big announcement tomorrow.